It's Tuesday night, which means it's time to submit to the High Council. I'm your host, Jeff of World Class Bullshitters, and with me tonight is my partner in crime, Mecha Random 42.
Hello.
And with us is the new member of the High Council. We gave him the nod on air last Wednesday. He was very shocked and surprised, but he's a hell of a dude, and I am so happy to have him. It's Tom from Midnight's Edge After Dark.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, you made me piddle a little on air. It was kind of embarrassing.
He's following me everywhere now.
Remind me to tell you off air the time Dion made his wife piddle her pants. It's a funny story. It involves her getting kicked in the stomach, but that's the topic for another day. It's hilarious. Don't worry. It's not abuse. So, people right now that are watching, you're probably going, what the hell is on my screen? Well, Reylo is dead officially, folks. We have the next abomination of Disney Star Wars, and this is Cray. So it's the newest shipping in Star Wars. This comes from Disney Star Wars is dumb.com. Our friend Ichibaka's fantastic website. If you need an archive of everything we've ever covered in the Fandom Menace about Star Wars content, well, damn it, you need to go to Disney Star Wars is dumb and give Ichibaka a follow over on Twitter because he's a hell of a dude. So, what do we think of Cray?
I don't think I'll ever be able to be turned on again.
I mean, she's prettier than Daisy, the one on the right.
It bothers me that Kylo Ren makes a better looking woman than Daisy Ridley stuff makes a man.
Is it me or does Daisy Ridley as a man kind of look like Jeremy?
Jesse, come here real quick. Tom says Daisy Ridley as a man looks like Jeremy.
If you cut out the hair.
You're not wrong.
Oh my god. Wow. Can make all these videos just like Cray.
Oh, there's another one that I linked in the group chat here. There's a better, or it's a weirder image. I don't know which one's better, but it's weirder.
I guess a few people agree with me in the chat, so I'm not too far off.
I saw this one earlier with Jesse, and I said, why does it look like their face is melting? I'm going to share it. Don't worry. It's like if Chunk from the Goonies had better hair. Or excuse me, Sloth from the Goonies had better hair. All right, now, folks, if you're drinking, swallow your food or your beverage because it's going to make you...
Look away warning.
There we go.
For the warning. What the serious fuck? Baby?
That's what happens when you take too much LSD. This chases you.
Hey, you guys.
Well, we got a super chat from Stone Cold Jeremy. What? He says, hail the High Council, smash the melee button, everyone. Stone Cold Jeremy, thank you very much. And yes, folks, smash the melee button because last time you all smashed the melee button, we got a Good Morning Pop Culture, and over the weekend we had another one from Texas. That was the one you thumbed up last week, so it was a great time. It was 3 hours. We talked about the Back to the Future remake. So if you guys like those, you know what to do. By the way, I see people in the chat talking about how they didn't get a notification. Put it like this. You may not get notifications every week. That is a YouTube problem, but we will be here on the High Council. Our streams are at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the World Class Bullshitters podcast is 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday night. So mark your calendars, set your clocks by it. We'll be here, and we'll let you know in advance if we're not. But yes, I can see a lot of people don't like this abomination, this amalgamation of two people. This is the stuff nightmares are made of.
Well, first of all, this is the world's worst paint shop job or Photoshop job. So apologies to the artist, but you suck. Secondly, if you're going to find two pictures of this and meld them together, at least find where the eyes are in the same direction. That's kind of your first mistake.
Things are supposed to be hideous.
Crackhead Jeremy says it's his dream chick.
Oh. You would think that, crackhead Jeremy. Of course, you're cross-eyed probably and all fucked up, so probably looks good to you.
I'm doing the thing where I'm putting my finger over one half of the face, and then, oh god, it's just not. No.
Child of Barney Gumble. It's a beautiful baby boy girl.
I was watching the Simpsons episode where Barney couldn't drink when Duffman came to town.
Oh god.
Yeah, he lost the car in New York.
I have seen every Simpsons up until this last year. I just kind of, it's first time ever, I just kind of got to a point where I'm like, It's just not the same anymore. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, they. I mean, now that it's a Disney property, I just don't even want to give it my time anymore. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Alpha Tyranema, thank you for super chat. He says, "What would win, that thing or Bug Hamill from Guyver?"
That thing, I think.
Just for a moment, folks, for those who are wondering what it is, let me just put a. There we go. A little banner across the screen while we talk about this for a moment, because this is our opener for the night. Right? Raylo.
Kill me. All I can think of is like Alien 4 when they find that fucked up Ripley on the table and she's like, kill me.
Real quick, our friend John Martin, thank you very much for your super chat. Excuse me. The Star Wars dad here. Bad enough Ray looks like a man, but now Disney wants to make Wolverine gay. When does this stop? Well, first off, John Martin, thank you very much for your generous super chat. I'd like to let you know that we are going to be talking about the gay Wolverine stuff. I've sent out feelers to Ethan and Cecil as well because, we're all comic book fans. This morning, actually, I was reading X-Men 123, where Arcade captured the X-Men, and Wolverine had been out to dinner with Mariko and all this stuff, and they take these characters and they change them. So, John, thank you very much. But we are going to cover that a lot more in depth tonight because, as you know, the High Council isn't just Star Wars; it's mainly Star Wars, but it also does cover all of our geek culture that somehow Disney seems to own and let be bastardized. So, I'm not cool with that shit. Wolverine, if he started out as a gay character, it'd be a different story. Was it North Star? But Iceman wasn't gay. Wolverine wasn't gay. Cyclops. So. Just make new gay characters, but we'll talk about that.
So instead of "Hey bub," he says, "Hey bub, how you doing?"
Hugh Jackman likes to do musicals and stuff, right?
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this will work. We'll bring him back. Anyway, we'll get into it in a moment. So Raylo was such a huge part of Star Wars for a while. And I don't mean like actual Star Wars, but fandom. They talk about toxic fandom because we don't roll over and take whatever Disney wants to give us as canon, or we don't like it because it's, not good entertainment or quality storytelling that herkily-jerkily flies over rooftops. We're always called toxic because we call into question what, are they respecting our franchises? And Raylo is one of those weird abominations of a sect of a fandom that really had strong, passionate feelings towards shipping Rey and Kylo together. It's kind of like Harley Quinn and Joker, where it's a reflection of how far society has fallen, where they consider these things healthy, good, attractive relationships that they want to have. And that's just not the case. So, Mecha, what was your first thought of Raylo when you saw it?
Ew. It's weird. I don't know. I don't need these characters to be dating and kissing and all this stuff. I don't identify like I don't need to identify like with the characters on screen. I don't need to live vicariously through them with my own romantic life. So,
what about you, Tom?
Yeah, Mecha's right. I mean, obviously they drove them nuts again and said this week that it was it came out in that book. That was at C2E2, which I was supposed to be at last weekend, but my car broke down, so I didn't get to. But I guess they released early copies of the book. And in the book, it says it's basically a friend kiss, thanking him for saving her life. It's not romantic. Sending Raylos into a spiraling craziness. I'm sure they were on, like, suicide watch as well. That's... No, Mecca's right. This shit is for, like... housewives and cat moms who have no life and live vicariously through fucking characters. And it's just like, I guess my volume's down. Sorry, guys. It's just like the whole It thing when they decided to ship It with the Babadook. I don't know if you know what the Babadook is.
I've seen the film.
Yeah, I guess they gay shipped them together. And then the gay community lost their damn minds when, in the first few minutes of It 2, he kills that gay kid, and it's like, oh, I can't believe it. And that was what a lot of that stemmed from, all that hubbub. And it's like, seriously, you guys are the ones who did this. They never said, first of all, that Pennywise was gay, and second of all, he's a creature. He's not even a being, and you're the one who's shipping him. This shipping nonsense is unhealthy. I think Jeremy's right. I mean, I don't mind a little goofing around here and there as far as like fan fic stuff, if you want to, play devil's advocate about shit, but this unhealthy obsession with getting these two characters together when there was even a possibility that they could be brother and sister is extremely unhealthy. I'm sure you remember that article where before Rise of Skywalker came out, that one Reylo shipper decided they were going to do a whole article on how even if they were cousins or anything like that it would be okay if they had kids, at least one.
Oh,
did you see that?
No, I thankfully didn't. I live close enough to Kentucky as it is. I didn't need to see that shit.
Oh, it was bad. We covered it on Toxic Femininity. It was.
So they want to turn this into anime then?
Well, this was before the movie came out. So this was somebody who was actually, I guess, somebody with a PhD, so they claimed, who actually went through the entire nonsense of how it would be okay as if they're cousins, as long as they only have one child. The chances of only having one child not having any genetic issues are okay as long as they're first cousins.
Okay, but if they're brother and sister...
No, then that just goes out the window.
Yeah.
So, like, I just want to bring up to attention. A lot of people are complaining about Jenna Nicholson getting a mention on the stream. This is the tweet she sent out the other day. And let me just call her out on this real quick. I don't know her personally. I'm sure she has us blocked on Twitter because, of course, these kind of people do. But she's retroactively pissed that we haven't seen other Star Wars characters kissing each other on the mouth to express gratitude, celebration, or acknowledgement. Well, Jenny, it'd be nice if you would watch the first fucking movie where Princess Leia kisses Luke for luck. Just putting that out there. I mean,
and she does it in the second film just to piss off Han Solo. Come on.
I'm just saying, retroactively, why don't you watch one of these fucking movies and shut up, okay? Like, see, this is all part of the bigger problem. It's that you have people that have either influence or that work on these properties that aren't fans. And people say, well, fans are going to get into the weeds and they're going to do this and they're going to make that. But fans and people that care about this also respect the IPs. It's now that there's all these people that have infected comic books, geek culture, some of these geek culture TV shows and movies, like you're getting to a point now where we're basically bastardizing, and I'm so tired of using that word, but that's what they're doing. They're bastardizing these properties because either they don't like them, they don't know them, or they're just trying to ruin them for some weird, I don't know how to describe it, some weird desire to just piss off a fan base. And to me, what'd you say?
It's to troll us. It's like what Rian Johnson did. Like, oh, wouldn't it be great if Luke chucked the saber over his shoulder just as a troll thing? It's like you don't really mean it and you don't care. You're just going to say something hateful just to troll somebody.
Yeah, I don't like it. Believe me, Neca, we're going to be talking about Rian Johnson because his dumbass is back in the But like, I don't know. I don't want to make the whole show about, railing on her. I don't know her. We're never going to talk in person. We probably met at Celebration, but we'll never speak. But this kind of shit bothers me because they're using this as a topic, and then they're going to try to turn it into, oh, you're toxic or you hate women because you don't agree with her. It's like, yo, that's just not how Star Wars has ever been. Like, lady, if you're going to make these complaints, make sure that you've seen the movies and you know what you're talking about.
Well, it's the same thing when Anita, I don't want to say her full name, but we know her. She was complaining that there's not enough strong women in The Mandalorian. And then everybody just said, here's 10, shut your mouth.
She is the worst. Like, she's like, what is it, Voldemort? You don't say her name, so she won't appear. But
yeah.
Look at Mecha. The first time I ever got involved, or let's say invested in internet drama or any of this kind of stuff, was Gamergate. I can tell you exactly. I was sitting in my room, my old office, drawing stuff, and I was just listening to YouTube videos nonstop. We had a Boulder holder that used to cover this shit extensively, and I would listen to him. And then you would hear her name pop up, and she is just a pariah. She's doing this stuff in the video game industry, and it's not working. And she had her frequency stuff and all this other crap she does. And now she's just trying to jump into the next thing. And it's like, we're at this point, though, where... And, people call these people fake geek girls or fake geeks and all this stuff. It's just the people that are trying to, instigate into the geek culture. Mm-hmm. They're starting to lose their effectiveness. Yes, some people blow up and make videos on them, and other people, just like us, we won't even say their full name, and they'll just wither away into dust like the old man at the end of The Last Crusade. But these people, have infected the geek culture long enough, and thankfully, at least I feel, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm too optimistic, there's a nice turn that we've started to, move into.
I think we're just beginning to kind of slap them back. That we're like, wait a minute, stop, hold your horses. You don't get to come in and screw up everything.
I agree. I'm like I said, I'm no fan of hers. I'm no fan of any of these people. Like, of course, you're like this. It's America. You have freedom of speech. You want to have these conversations about stuff. Awesome, cool. More power to you. Don't try to ruin people's lives, and don't fucking lie. You don't make up shit. Like in college, if you made up stuff on a research paper, you'd get docked your points, or you'd fail instantly, depending on how strict the teacher was. But I mean, these people are allowed to go and propagate lies, and it causes a bigger problem for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. I can't add anything more than that. I'm not a big fan of Jenny Nicholson. I mean, she's very. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, okay? I mean, I don't want to ever sound like I'm saying somebody isn't entitled to their opinion.
Unless you're Jenny Nicholson.
But when here's the difference. Is she goes out there and she does this whole, like, I'm wrong, you're right, or I'm right, you're wrong kind of thing with the way she delivers her shit. And she reminds me of, I don't want to say his name, but he's a popular... what do you call it? Journalist, I guess.
Former
and he's
YouTuber?
always on Twitter. I don't think he ever was a YouTuber.
Does he write for Forbes?
No, a different one. One we have had some run-ins, good and bad. You know how dog bites man is a thing we usually say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, if you can't get it from anything I just said, man, a bite. But anyway,
I don't know.
I just said the name. If you didn't catch it,
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, we do. You just have to remember who he is.
By the way, folks, we have 1,022 watching in the chat. If you could do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. I don't know exactly when we could do a Good Morning Pop Culture due to scheduling, but this Saturday, I'm going to finally be sitting down to watch the Lord of the Rings saga, and I'll be having a live stream either before or after it. So make sure you guys follow us on social media. But I can finally see this epic that everyone's been telling me I've been missing out on for years. So give us a thumbs up and just let us know that you like the show. We greatly appreciate it. But yeah, people are saying finally. Yes, I'll see it. I'll see it. No, but I think people in the chat are making a good point, though. Geek culture and sci-fi are leaving the mainstream. Star Wars is over. It's going to go become this brand of a TV show. Look, Mandalorian's great. I love it. It's got some great episodes. It's got some episodes. But overall, I'm happy. But we're going to go back to games and books. I say we're out of Star Wars movies in the theaters for a little bit. Doctor Who has shit the bed repeatedly. And Mecha will talk about that. You're the expert here. Star Trek, again, has shit the bed, even though it's getting the 5th season of Discovery.
7. It's going 7. It is going 7 seasons, or I'm lying.
Well, I have never seen a single episode of Mikey Burnham. I won't do it. Take me back. Give me, do you guys consider Twilight Zone like genre or geek culture entertainment or no?
Yeah.
Now that is where I will draw the line. Like if more people cared, like to me, the Twilight Zone is my Game of Thrones or my Star Trek, where you have this perfect television show. And yes, some of the effects have not dated particularly well, but neither have effects from the old Star Wars or old Star Trek or any of these things that we all love. Doctor Who was shot on a soundstage and sometimes had colored curtains and looked funky. Point is, outside of the dated effects or the fashion, which doesn't matter because that was what popular at the time. Excuse me. The show really has a lot to say, and I think what happens with a lot of our genre entertainment is it's the IP name that these people want. And they don't really respect what makes it, what's the Twilight Zone? They don't respect what makes it Star Trek or Doctor Who. And you got a bunch of fakers that ruin it and push out people that really do like it. Like I said to you, Tom, probably a million times about business stuff. I get it. You want the biggest audience possible, but at the same time, you can't betray your guaranteed money.
No, you can't. Well, and just, again, it always just goes along with the same thing we always say. It just like with Star Trek, it always has been. They've been able to, reinvent the show over and over again without taking it too far from, what was before it, outside of a few things that they changed between TOS and the Next Generation. But most of those came in the movies anyway, in the interim. So it was kind of people accepted it, and then they tried to retroactively explain a lot of things. So they at least took that into consideration. and then you get to the Star Trek '09 movies and all that shit goes out the door, but at least kind of feels like Star Trek or looks like Star Trek. And then by the time you get to Discovery and Picard, it's like, this is nothing like Star Trek. I don't know why you're even calling it Star Trek. It defeats the purpose of even having the title.
Trek means you're trekking around in space.
Well,
Discovery, they spent more time sitting still doing nothing.
It's just like we always say, like I said, it's a lot of these younger writers nowadays, instead of coming up with something that's, a new franchise and something that's worthwhile and could possibly be a big thing, they rely on what was before, and studios encourage that because it's a safe bet.
Yeah, you guys over at Midnight's Edge definitely have the best take on the Star Trek stuff, to why, why things change, why they do certain things, how much they're allowed to do. I mean, like I said, I'm not the biggest Trekkie or Trekker, depending on what the proper nomenclature is, or the preferred nomenclature, excuse me. But I just don't get any of that feel. Like, maybe some of it from the Abrams movies, the first two, and even then there's issues there. And that third one, forget about it. But I don't know, I feel like a lot of that stuff is a lost cause. Maybe I'm just being too pessimistic, but you can't restart it. You can't reboot it. Star Trek and Star Wars are just too big to actually reboot. Disney tried to trick us. It didn't work. That's why, because we're all, so tuned into the minutia of this stuff. It's funny too. Like, let's just say there's a big game of, I'm trying to think of the right word, not cultural economics, a big game of like societal chess. They're trying to change society's views to the entertainment we consume. They picked the worst shit to try it with: the geek culture, the sci-fi, the comics, and that stuff, because you tend to have a smarter audience, and a lot of people don't play with the bullshit, or they see through it. And I just think that we're now kind of at the end of all this. If there was a book, if we were all part of a story, I think we'd be coming to the natural conclusion.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, the thing with Trek is, and I think that's the thing, is that was a little bit more fragile than something like Star Wars or DC or some of the other properties that have gone through some ups and downs.
Yeah, Trek stopped for a while.
Well, and that's just it. It never had this huge fan base, but what it did have was a very loyal fan base.
Mm-hmm.
And once you shake that loyalty, like we've learned with Star Wars and so many other franchises, it's very tough to get it back. And I think that's why we haven't gotten any licensing for Star Trek Discovery or Picard, really. It's why we haven't, you can't even find like hardly any of the just standard merchandise in any of the stores at all. And I've been to some geek stores lately, and they've got tons of regular Star Trek stuff from Next Generation, but nothing from Picard or Discovery ever.
All they made were badges and uniforms.
Yeah, that's what. Well, not even that stuff. They don't even have that stuff. They didn't even have like any of the models or anything like that. They had like the Enterprise and a few other things at some of the geek stores I went to, but
they had at Star Trek Las Vegas, they had the t-shirts with Picard Vineyard on there, or the Picard logo, and nobody knew anything about the show. They were just happy to throw their money at it.
Well,
and
that's the thing, is t-shirts and posters and all that crap, that's ancillary crap that it isn't necessarily licensed out usually.
Oh yeah,
it's just, but
they have this this disrespect and this expectation of fans that we will just buy anything they want, because for a lot of years we had no reason to question it. We had no reason to say, wait a minute, I don't want to buy anything with or everything with Star Trek on the side because some of this sucks. And a lot of people still justify, their fandoms, their spending habits, their dedication, their emotional attachment to Star Trek. And a lot of people are still saying, oh no, but it's good. But it's good. Oh, and there's right now I see a lot of people still making excuses. And it's the same excuses I saw with people the first season of Discovery. I'm seeing this again with the same thing. They're like, oh yes, but TNG was not that good in the first season. It didn't really get good until blah. So we're gonna, and like I heard it before Discovery, and how many of you people told me after what you said with Discovery season 1 that once season 2 came around, you're like, yeah, season 1 was shit. Tom will vouch for me on that one with like the Red Shirts podcast guys. They liked season 1 of Discovery, and by season 2,
well, not all, but they at least gave it more of a chance. Yeah, they were trying to find they were stretching so far to find the good. Yeah,
is the point. I think we want to like them. And they're not giving us anything to like. They're just
they were
constantly
they were still in that phase of making excuses to themselves as to, no, I can like this because it's still technically Trek as long as there's this and as long as there's that. But once you get past a certain point, especially that ending of the first season going into the second season, it was just like by that second episode when you got severed baby heads and shit, I think a lot of people were just like, fuck this noise. I can't deal with this. This is not Star Trek. I don't know what this is, but it sure as hell ain't Star Trek.
So, we'll get into the Who stuff, the Doctor Who stuff a little later. We'll put a pin on this Reylo crap for now. But to all those out there that are proponents of Reylo, don't bother Adam Driver. That's where the line was drawn. Like, if you want to write fan fiction and you want to have fun and you want to post it online and talk in your communities, cool. I don't care what you do. That's fine. But when you're going after the actors and shit because they're not really dating in real life, then that gets to the next level. And I personally thought that was just too much. Like, the Reylo community is not for me. No, thank you. Never was.
Well, these are the same people who were sending J.J. Abrams death threats back in the day, and they were sending, and that was for killing Ben, and now they're even more pissed. Like, this is the same stuff. Like, they're still mad. They're like, oh no, they're arguing. They're saying, no, see this kiss, and I kind of agree with it. That kiss really wasn't platonic on screen from what I saw. So I'm unhappy for them because at least I had that. I don't want everybody to be miserable, and even though I don't agree with them, but I don't understand what they did, why they would let that be put in the novel like that. Like, we saw what was on screen, unless the novel was written before whatever final cut they went with. That's my only explanation for it. Do you guys think it might be a different, like they were writing the novelization and then they went back and changed the movie after the fact before it was done?
I would go with that because Neca, they've done that in the past with other Star Wars stuff. I believe, I know for sure the Marvel Comics version of Star Wars is based off an earlier draft of the script. So, and the film, because Jabba the Hutt is in the early Marvel book, and he's drawn like...
Well, that's the thing, is every Star Wars movie before this, we got the book right before or on the day of, other than the very, very first novel, which came out a year before the movie did.
Yeah, and I don't get... Another thing that Marvel does is they put out the adaptations of the comic of the movie months later. I don't even know if the Rise of Skywalker's come out yet.
I read episode 1 before the movie came out. Book came out like 2-3 days before the movie came out.
Dude, I read, here's an example, not Star Wars. Spider-Man 3, the novelization, is vastly superior to the movie. I bought that book maybe a month or two before the movie came out. I'm positive it was weeks, because I remember where I was. I was at the Northgate Mall in Cincinnati, and I passed Walden Books, and I thought, Spider-Man 3, no way. So I was in high school, I had a job, I had money. I bought that book, and I was with somebody. I'm like, I'm going to sit on the bench while you guys shop. I'm going to read this book. I was hooked, and that book is nothing like the movie. There's an earlier draft. There's a better story in that film. But I don't know if that can be said about the new Star Wars stuff. I can't give him my money or time to read these books. We had a listener send me the Audible copy of The Last Jedi, and I sat down. I tried to listen to it as I assembled a desk. And I had to turn it off. It's just a difficult read. All that stuff is difficult for me.
Yeah, they've got to make it entertaining. That's the bottom line. They just forgot, this has to also entertain us. We're so busy. They're so busy cramming agendas, and they're so busy cramming, and we need this checkbox and this boardroom meeting insertion of this product placement, make sure you get a nice shot of the lightsaber because that's going to be the toy, and make sure you get they fly now in the commercial because we got a toy coming of that. No.
If anyone ever makes the argument, well, that's not really accurate. They didn't worry about the look of the few toys they made for the Rise of Skywalker. That was one of them. Like, they didn't make many vehicles at all for that film. They made not a land speeder, Poe's X-wing, and that was about it. So, and it is funny too. People want to say, well, toys, they don't make toys anymore. Look, we just came off Toy Fair last week. Tom, you were on the live stream. We broke down how they make Ninja Turtle action figures off of a fucking 35-year-old franchise. Well, 33. So, Ninja Turtles is a thing that still makes money left and right.
Oh, yeah.
There's a way they could be doing that with Star Wars, but everything's based off the old trilogy. So that's how it rolls. But God, traffic is returned. Anyway, I'm
Get
sorry.
out of the street. I'm walking here.
Yeah, I'm sitting here, many feet away from you.
I'm podcasting here.
There we go. I need a T-shirt that says that. I'm podcasting here. So let me read the few of the super chats, and then we're going to talk about Palpatine and how he was always meant to be a clone. I don't know if I believe that. Actually, I know that I don't believe it. So first off, we have our friend Space Monkey 0899 that says, I'm gay for Cray now. Well, hey, enjoy Cray. You can be gay for Cray all you want. We're very open-minded here.
They just love Tom's Palpatine so much, and they wanted to give him an excuse to sing Weird Al's "I Think I'm a Clone Now."
I did that last night. It was a pretty big hit.
Did you get claimed for it?
I'd have to look again. I don't think we did yet.
Oh, because I know she privatized it, so I don't know if it got claimed.
I didn't mean to do that. That was actually a complete accident because it was meant to be. And luckily, somebody said something this morning. I'm like, oh shit, I noticed it. But yeah.
Do some stuff. Can I? So if you guys haven't checked that out, definitely check that one out.
I think I'm a clone now.
Our friend Darth Fatass says, I wonder, is that thing dick bigger than Batista's? Well, I'm going to go with no. Batista wins by a landslide.
So why was he cloning Snoke's then? And okay, so Palpatine was a clone. We got that reveal in the novel. What was Snoke? What was he a clone of? If Palpatine was cloning himself.
Why?
Okay, so here, let me just read you the TLDR of this article, and then I have the thing pulled up for the snippet from the book. So, J.J. Abrams wanted Palpatine to return as a clone in The Rise of Skywalker. Fans were shocked to hear that Palpatine was back in The Rise of Skywalker, especially since he seemed to be killed in Return of the Jedi. Palpatine returned in The Rise of Skywalker, but exactly how wasn't explained. In the novelization of The Rise of Skywalker, it was revealed that he was a clone, but this plot line wasn't used in the movie. However, this is what Abrams wanted to have happen in The Force Awakens. People already complain that The Force Awakens is a remake of Star Wars, because it fucking is. So introducing Palpatine in The Force Awakens may have not been a wise choice. I have a question for everyone in the chat listening. What here was a wise choice? Because I'm going to go with none of it. It's fucking stupid. I'm sorry. I'm really into this tonight. For some reason,
I think this is all lies and conjecture and bullshit, to be honest with you. Because there's so many questions. Yeah, lies. Bullshit. First of all, we know for a fact they didn't plan on bringing Palpatine in until way, way late into the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he said he knew about a month before he started filming.
Yeah, and then he announced it. He was allowed to announce it at
the
Star Wars Celebration.
D23.
Or was it D23? Yeah.
It's wherever we got the first trailer for where we heard him. I think it might have
Which that would have already been after they finished initial principal photography and they were going into reshoots, which we all know now reshoots lasted 3 times as long as principal photography did.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those broken movies like a Waterworld or something where we're going to look back on and dissect.
It's almost worse than Justice League if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, personally, I mean, maybe the behind-the-scenes stuff, I'm not talking about that, but I'll say I'd rather watch Justice League 10 times before I'd ever watch The Rise of Skywalker again.
Well, I mean, more so the behind-the-scenes and just how the movie was a butchered mess by the time it came out. And there's still rumors that this version that's coming out on video on the 31st is going to be that slightly extended version.
Well, I'll put it like this to Disney and everyone out there that defends the movie. You can't save this piece of shit. There's nothing good in it. This isn't like Darth Vader and Luke's like, I see the good within him. No, you delivered a very broken film, which, I mean, Neca, you didn't like it, correct?
No, I actually liked The Last Jedi more now that I think about it. And that was not good either. At least that was pretty. You know, at least it kind of looked like Star Wars if you turn off the stupid shit they're saying.
And Tom, what about you? Rise of Skywalker, hated it, right? Or liked it?
I liked it. I liked aspects of it better than... I could find it more watchable than The Last Jedi, but The Last Jedi is still a better overall movie, probably just because of technical reasons.
Yeah, he went on a technicality.
Yeah, so like it's like more of an objective, subjective kind of thing, no matter which way you kind of look at it. But in the end, it doesn't matter because Trevorrow's script was far superior. Now, I'm not saying it would have fixed everything, but at least I know I would have walked out of that movie knowing what I do of the script and been like, you know, at least it wasn't a complete clusterfuck by the end, and it worked within, you know, kind of the confines of what we already have.
Yeah, I'm with Crackhead Jeremy in the chat. They're both shitty. I left angry both times, but I also felt validated after the Rise of Skywalker because, in a way, I feel like the shit that we've been saying about Disney Star Wars was just finally put on screen for everyone to see. It's like if you looked, it was always there, but no one could deny it anymore. And I don't know if it was you, Tom, that I was talking to, because I talked to a couple people now about this shit, and I just said Star Wars. I can't believe how quick it came and went. Like everyone was into it, and then it disappointed, and it's gone.
Yeah, and not only that, you can tell behind the scenes they're scrambling. Well, this was a big disappointment, no matter which way you cut it. Yeah, I mean, if that's what you mean, because it's been diminishing results. When I brought up many times, along with other people, that we live in a world where it's not normal for a sequel to make less money. Now it's generally the sequel that makes more money, and it keeps going up and up and up.
Especially the finale. Like this was supposed to end everything. This wasn't, this is an end to a 40-year franchise.
And not only did it go down, it went down drastically. I mean, you're looking at, extremely diminishing returns, especially if you count the fact that not only did Rogue One make more than The Rise of Skywalker, Joker made more than Rise of Skywalker.
And was infinitely more profitable.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'd be one to sit there and argue if this movie ever made a profit to begin with. And it might all be connected to why Bob Iger had to, quote unquote, step down or slide into a creative role to fix some messes. Because, Marvel, of course, was a huge, win for them. Pixar worked out for them in the end pretty much. This, on the other hand, I have a hard time believing if anybody sits there and goes, oh, well, they've made their money back and then some. Even people I respect highly, like Robert Meyer Burnett, who like to point out, oh, well, they've made billions. It's like, yeah, but you're not thinking in movie money, man. They only get about roughly, on average, 60% of the box office to begin with, less overseas usually. And then they're only reporting X amount for the budget, and it's got to be probably 3 times that or twice that at least. And then we know that with these tentpole movies, they generally spend about 2 or 3 times their budget on advertising. And then you got to add in all the parks. Then you got to add in that they're not getting the extra revenue from the all the merchandise, because there was no merchandise for this movie. It was pretty much non-existent, almost like Star Trek, like we were talking earlier. Almost, there's a little bit more for this, but still, it's, as we brought up many, many, many times, there is no 3 3/4 inch toy line for this Star Wars film, the first in history, as far as I know. They've only got a couple figures in the black line and a couple of anniversary figures that they threw in there, and that was it. And nothing as far as a full line of toys. No, I don't even think they have any play sets or anything like that for Rise of Skywalker, did they?
No, because they made one for Solo, though. They made the Mines of Kessel playset. It's in our Star Wars toy video that came out on Christmas Day. And you can see it's a big cardboard playset with a Han Solo without a jacket. But, whatever. Like they're saying, that KR Companion saying in the chat, they had so many posters. They had so many things that they made for this movie. No, they didn't. To me, this is like The Rise of Skywalker was the most hollow, transparent Star Wars film in terms of marketing ever. Like, you could bitch about the prequels all day long, and we'll have that conversation. But they had some substance to them, and the stuff around them, they all felt like events, and it felt like Lucas was. Yeah. He didn't love it, but he felt like he was proud of those things. No matter what you think, the dude seemed proud of the stuff he put out there. The Rise of Skywalker really felt like let's just get it over with already and cut our losses, and we'll make our money from somewhere else's Star Wars.
Well, even if you compare it to the prequels, yeah, Episode 1 did play into the Attack of the Clones not having shit for merchandising, because the merchandise for The Phantom Menace was just so overbloated. And I think that, again, that is it needs to be pointed out more so than not necessarily that it didn't sell per se, is that they just made so damn much of it. And afterwards, every store was stuck with shit tons of Jar Jar Binks. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, I was there.
I still got a box full of like Episode 1 garbage from my video store, and most of it's Jar Jar Binks stuff. So like you said, when Attack of the Clones came out, you couldn't find a shirt for an adult. You couldn't find anything but their toy line. And I don't even know if they had I don't even think they had a Happy Meal for Attack of the Clones. They may have, but I don't think they did. And then for at least Revenge of the Sith, though, they did, though. They had a lot of merchandise. Of course, they had, Darth Vader to play with there. That was the other big thing. But You know, I mean, at least for that situation, and even there wasn't as much of a decline between episode 1, 2, and 3. There was just a slight decline. It was pretty much like the original trilogy.
What I liked too about the episode 3 merch, not that I was buying a ton of it in high school, but we talk about this, Tom, you know, how I feel about articulation and stuff. They definitely upped it from episodes 2 to 3. Like, the quality of everything progressed. With Disney stuff, it's just everything kind of just decreases, you know. Oh, this game's not as good as the one that came before it. Oh, this movie's not as good as the one that came before it. Oh, these toys don't exist, blah, blah, blah. It's like it was a quick decline into nothingness.
Well, and not to repeat myself, I didn't think Solo was going to do as much damage as it did. I didn't think The Last Jedi was going to do as much damage as it did. I mean, those two movies back to back, and I think people neglect how much. I mean, yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, Solo wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be. Well, no, it was pretty bad. I mean,
well, like they say, hashtag Solo lost money.
I don't know about you, but I can't watch that movie. So,
it's the second least offensive Disney Star Wars flick.
It's so boring, though. That's the problem with the Han Solo movie. It's just so dull. There's nothing to it. It's ugly to look at. It's not very interesting. Han Solo's a side character in his own movie.
Well, when you can make people laugh who actually like the movie when you say it looks like it was shot with Vaseline smeared on the lens, then you know you're onto something. I mean, it's the same thing with like Batman v Superman. It looks like they were both shot by the same cinematographer.
Well, there we go. Solo may blaze new trail for Disney losing money for Star Wars. I'd say this article from 2 years ago seems pretty accurate.
Yeah, because I don't even think that Clone Wars cartoon lost money because it was technically prepaid for, wasn't it?
It might have been through Cartoon Network.
That's what I'm thinking.
Let me see what the box office was for that real quick.
Yeah, I don't think it did great at the box office, but again, like I said, it was already prepaid for, so it didn't matter.
Dude, it brought in $68 million.
That's still probably enough.
On a budget of 8.5.
Oh my god, that's cheap. Holy shit. Well, all it was 3 or 4 episodes put together, or whatever it was. So.
Yeah, and that wasn't the best representation of that series, in my opinion.
No, but that was a typical thing they used to do back in the 80s a lot. Before we actually got true movies, I think like the first one I remember where they actually did it was like G.I. Joe or Transformers, but even the He-Man movie, they tricked you. It was new shit when you went to see it in the theater, but it was actually the first 3 or 4 episodes of She-Ra. That's all they did. And they did the same thing with a few other shows I remember back in the 80s, going to see them in theaters. It's like, hey, wait a minute, I saw this in the movies. Like, they just shoved like 3 or 4 episodes together for a Saturday matinee thing. But of course, I don't know if you're old enough to remember that, Jeff. But yeah.
I'm not, but I do know how they would market or package a lot of those on tape as the movie. Like Miami Vice was actually marketed as Miami Vice the movie. It was just the full pilot.
Yeah, and sometimes they would even show those for like matinees at movie theaters and stuff. It was kind of fucked up because, like I said, I do remember seeing a few of them. So,
well, I mean, if we look right here, this is just a small little graphic, and this is representative of the UK, but it actually is the same worldwide. Like, look at it's just a downward trend from Disney Star Wars films.
Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, and I remember they did that with Ninja Turtles with the first few episodes on TV. They just put them all together as a movie, too, when I was a kid.
You know, all of our Ninja Turtle talk last week really made me want to go and watch some stuff, but hey.
Start with the movie.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I really love that movie.
The 2000 series wasn't bad. It gets bad, but it started off really good.
This is probably the saddest article I've ever seen. Look, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is actually doing really well at the box office in one key way. What the fuck does that even mean?
In failing? I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's making a lot of money, but it's not making... Oh, stop making excuses! Who is a Screen Rant?
No, this is Cinema Blend.
I was going to say it looks more like Cinema Blend. Yeah.
Stop making excuses for him.
Rob, who was in the chat, I don't know if he still is, he likes to call it Cinema Bland.
They do suck. Well, the thing is, I can't get behind, or I can't understand why these places are still defending Star Wars. It's not that you have to like, well, I think it was Dr. Coffin that said in the chat, like, when you shill really hard, it's obviously transparent and you turn a lot of people off. Now, I'm not telling you guys, don't trust this person. This is just my personal take. If you like, what's his name, Star Wars Explained or whatever, cool, or any of these people that make these videos, go watch what you want to watch. Just keep watching us too. But my point is, for me personally, once these people are so blatantly shills for a company and then they try to backtrack, I don't really trust them, and I lose a lot of interest in their content, like a Campia or a Double Toasted or a place like, places that used to have their own unique voice. I'm not giving Campia that much credit, but blatantly obvious stuff is just a big turnoff. I don't know how you guys feel.
Well, what I hate about these websites, first of all, is, like you said, it's the access media mentality. Second of all, a lot of these sites get taken a lot more seriously than some of us in the Fandom Menace, because they'll make fun of our sources. But that's the same thing these people say, and I'm willing to bet that they're the same fucking sources a lot of the time, or similar type of sources. Because unless they've got somebody who's official, they're going to say it. You know what I mean? And the only people who ever get really official shit ever is like Variety and maybe the Hollywood Reporter once in a while. Other than that, don't trust any of them, really. I wouldn't trust
Entertainment
them.
Weekly and...
Entertainment Weekly does get some exclusives, but...
Yeah.
I gotta say, even though I'm not a fan of hers, Grace Randolph, for some reason, I don't know what sources she has, but those seem to always, not always, but they seem to have more validity than other ones. Because remember, she was the only person on Obi-Wan that was saying, hey, it's getting canceled, it's getting pushed back. And everyone else was like, no, you're wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think she didn't she say something like, okay, first off, it's not canceled, but now I'm hearing stuff, and maybe there's something to this rumor, but
but to be fair, between like Geeky Candy and myself, we kind of figured out the same thing. So I mean, I do. She's really good with numbers. I'll give her that, but some of her takes I'm not so sure on, and I've even seen some celebrities call her out sometimes. So there was one recently. I can't remember who it was.
I remember she was very anti-Marvel for a minute.
Yeah, it was Boyega. I think Boyega called her out.
Boyega? Yeah, I was going to say.
Am I like the only person that doesn't follow John Boyega on social media?
You must.
Hilarious.
Because motherfucker's he's like a rock star right now.
Yeah, he's great. If there's anybody in this...
He is trolling Lucasfilm so bad in Star Wars and Reylos and...
Yeah.
He just... I don't know. As an actor, he's fine. I think my favorite actor out of the new sequel, or the sequel trilogy, is Adam Driver, because I feel like he's just a cool dude who can act. I don't really have any love for anybody else, but I don't hate him either.
Well, he was given nothing to work with. The guy's obviously a decent actor. I mean, he looks like a young Harrison Ford in a way. I mean, it's not like he was miscast in any way, shape, or form. I mean, he was just given crap to work with. That's all.
Yeah, well, they ruined Star Wars. That's all I can say.
Because, I've seen him in a few other things. He's definitely got some chops, so. Kitty don't sound happy.
Kitties.
I think there was kitty fighting.
There was. They're trying to kill each other.
Dominant fight.
So, I mean, look, at this Star Wars stuff with losing money, I guess goes back a couple years, but I can't believe they're still trying to make excuses. It almost bothers me at this point. Just let it go.
I don't think they have. Otherwise, I mean, this is the weird thing about this whole Bob Iger thing. We knew he was going to step down or step back, but this happened right after the first quarter. This happened right after the Rise of Skywalker lost a bunch of money. You had 2 series from the Star Wars camp get shut down. It's something don't smell right in Denmark, and to me, I don't know. And I don't think Chapek was his choice. I really don't. I could be wrong, but I don't think that was his choice. Because everybody was just saying he was going to go with that other guy, Meyer.
Well, like right here, we've been talking about how Disney Plus has not been my favorite thing. I've said it on the show before, but now Screen Rant's talking about how it's failing to deliver. And I'm sure you guys, at least Tom, I'm pretty sure you've seen the articles about how Disney might be in trouble due to all the coronavirus and the money they're losing and all that stuff.
Right.
I mean, right now it's not looking like a very...
Well, it's not just affecting them. It's affecting every entertainment. And outside of like streaming and shit, it's affecting everybody.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't denying that, but I'm just saying there's like a specific article that says how Disney's...
Yeah, but I just wanted to be clear that, it's not just affecting Disney, but yeah.
But I just thought this was interesting because, like, in the beginning, everyone was singing the praises of Disney Plus. And now, like right here, people are saying, is it failing to live up to the expectation? it really hasn't been too kind for 2020 because a lot of the shows are getting canceled. All the good original series, good in quotation marks, are months away. Obi-Wan will probably, I'm guessing Obi-Wan never gets made in the chat. Let me know what you think. And there's a lot of censorship, which we talk about in our last video, folks. So if you're out there in the chat, check out our Onward agenda video, because I talk about the double standard of Disney, because Disney wants to promote themselves as an entertainment company, but they also want to promote specific agendas in the media. And you want to know, like, if it's appropriate for families, if it's not appropriate, like, where does the line get drawn? What is okay for them, what is not okay. And there's just a lot of stuff that they do. I think they're putting themselves in a situation where they can't win.
Well, if they are actually listening to us, there might be some strategy behind some of the Star Wars stuff. But as far as Disney Plus, yeah, they jumped the gun. And I think they were trying to get out ahead of Warner. And in the process, they put out a product that wasn't ready for market. And in several ways. I don't mean just because they don't have the new content to put on there, because let's face it, the only thing they put on there so far that's done anything has been Mandalorian. And it's over. It's done with. And it takes you an afternoon to watch it. So you've got a problem there. Your biggest problem is you only have your old content, which is fine because it's, just money in their pocket. But they keep shifting that content. Why? Because obviously they don't have enough room on their servers for shit or something. You know what I mean? Something's up because their selection's very slim considering what they had boasted it to be. And when they're already removing movies left and right, granted, you can download them to the app on certain things, but I have not been able to figure out how to do it on like PS4. So, I mean, what I use, I haven't been able to do it. And all I've heard is people being able to do it on like their phones and their tablets. It's like, I'm not going to sit there and watch a movie on my fucking tablet or a phone. I mean, screw that. I'm not that kind of person. I'm just not. I don't like watching them on the
I'd rather not.
Yeah.
I'd rather not watch it on my phone or a tablet or something. If I'm going to watch something, I'd rather watch it on at least my monitor.
Like a Disney movie or a Star Wars movie or something like that effect. No way.
Well, you talked about jumping the gun, dude, with Star Wars alone. So what are we? Just a few short weeks away from that epic Star Wars box set, the 4K 29 disc or 27 disc extravaganza that no one's talking about or cares about, right?
Yeah, I'm not getting
it. They've got a lot of issues with that. And our good friend Michael over at Retro Blasting did an excellent video a while back, and a lot of people got bitchy about it, but he's, for most part, about 90% of what he said in that video was accurate. Like the stuff about the fact that there is no true 4K version of episode 2 and 3 because there can't be. It was filmed in 1080i from my understanding. He said 1080p. It might have been finished in 1080p, I'm sure, but that's just a minor thing. But yeah, as far as I know, Force Awakens I think was done on film, but then done in 2K positive. Same thing with The Last Jedi, and then upscaled. And that's a lot of movies, and a lot of enthusiasts and certain people in the industry that I even know and stuff will tell you it's not so much a matter of whether or not the film's in 4K or 2K. It's the, whether or not it gets the UHD or the Dolby Vision treatment. That's what matters most. And I understand that to a point, but when you have a lot of people saying that all my older movies that I've been buying on 4K look 10 times better than newer movies, people are noticing. And that's simply because, for the simple matter of, film is more than 4K resolution. So anything that's pre-CGI, where they started sending everything out into a 2K positive onto film, everything before that is fine. Post that, you got a problem. And now there's a plausibility, and I've heard several things, and this is where his 10% may be off. Now the sequel or the original trilogy, there may be 4K true composites done of those, because when George Lucas did the films before he sold it to Disney, he was going to do them all in 3D. So supposedly he did 4K masters of the special editions at that time. That's the McClunky version that's on Disney Plus right now.
Yeah, as you know, I'm cool with Michael, and I've watched all his videos on the subject. The only reason I want to go 4K eventually is for, video games and stuff like that. But I always use the example of the Avengers, and I think he might have used the example as well. Like, the effects are always going to be rendered in half the
exactly
resolution, so they're never going to go back and spend the money. These companies, they make their product and they're done. say what you will about, the special editions, but at least before that, Lucas spent the money to have them remastered for the THX release, because those Star Wars wasn't looking too good back then. But.
Right, and that's the problem. Well, and Mr. Wonderful says 4K is already outdated. I don't know about that. They've been doing a lot of tests with 8K, and from what I've been hearing, most people can't see the difference. So it's more going to be for some more like industrial type shit from what I'm gathering. But anyhow, we'll see. Maybe for gaming, it might be something they can use it, and it'll. But as far as for like movies, yeah, you can get a little bit better picture out of a film, but we've gotten to the point where this is about the best we're going to be able to get at this point with the technology we have to make films. So.
Yeah, and real quick, just to jump back to the Disney Plus thing, a lot of people are asking, like, is this show and that show on there? No, it's not.
That's the thing, yeah.
There's no droids. There's no Ewoks. There's no Caravan of Courage.
Yeah. No holiday special.
Well, between either like things that are keeping it back, like either Lucas's own licensing deals or whatever deal he made with, the studio, whatever licensing deals were made before that they have to honor. I know they had to pony up a lot of big bucks, I think, to TNT or something like that for the rights of a couple of the movies from the original Star Wars and the prequels, I think, because they had the streaming rights and the TV rights to them or some shit. So, I mean, I don't know. This whole thing with Disney Plus has been a big... I have not watched it much since The Mandalorian, because I've got most of the fucking movies, and I'm not going to sit there and watch them in an inferior form on a streaming when I've got a better version on disc. You know what I mean? It just makes no sense.
I do. Somebody earlier, Hoffcast, I kept this thing on the screen. My Star Wars Blu-ray box, it already says the complete saga. I'm with you there. Even some of those changes are questionable, but they're less offensive than, the McClunky edition. But, as a guy who does love his entertainment, to own physical media, who, in a way, I'm slowly letting the reins back and go, okay, maybe there are certain things digital's good for. Like, I keep Netflix to watch The Twilight Zone when I want to. I don't mind, because that's how much I love that show. Maybe I should just pull the trigger and buy the discs, but it is nice to have it on my phone and the convenience of all that. But it's like with the WWE Network. It initially launched as, we're putting everything on it, and we're going to give you the pay-per-views. Well, they launched it. It crashed the first day. And then they didn't even have everything. And it took years to get a back catalog. And years, not just a couple weeks to get it up and running. It's years it took to get all these old TV shows. Disney Plus started off with, look, I get it. It's basically the Mandalorian channel. Maybe it's going to be the Lizzie McGuire channel. But that's my guess, too. Have you guys heard about that rumor? Why, not the rumor, but the story about Hillary Duff is upset that they have to maybe censor the show for Disney Plus?
Yeah, it was something like that, where they can't do an adult version of the show.
Yeah, and you could put it on Hulu. But my thing is, I bet a lot of this is for investors. They want to be able to tout the Disney Plus is, in so many millions of homes, and it's been downloaded so many times, and it's like, I get it. I'm a Verizon customer. I get that shit for free. It's all about looking good on those investor calls to raise your stock value and do this, that, and the other. It's all business. But as a consumer, like, it doesn't have enough. Like, how many fucking times do I need to watch The Avengers? And if I do, I already bought it 8 years ago. And they're licensing the stuff they tried to license. Excuse me, not license, but the rights that the deals they negotiated prior. It's not enough. And the brands they have, they own the biggest brands, but they own a few. Marvel, Star Wars, National Geographics, and just the Disney stuff, I believe, is all that's on Disney Plus right now.
And that was part of the reason they bought Fox. And that's where I'm confused why there isn't more Fox shit on there. There's some, but there's not as much. And I know Hulu, I think they still got to ramp up a lot of that shit. But that's the problem. I know some of the stuff is still out there licensed, but there's a lot of shit that's not, and there's no reason it shouldn't be on Disney Plus other than they just don't have the room. That's the only thing I can think of.
And you know what, though, Tom? If smaller entertainment companies independently produce stuff, I'm very understanding. It's like, oh, we couldn't afford to do this or this. This is the biggest company in the entertainment world. They spend, was it $60 or $72 billion to buy Fox? They spend billions and billions of dollars. Like, if you're going to launch something, get the bandwidth, get the server space, get it all prepared. Exactly. You're Disney. You have no excuse at this point.
Well, not only that, they should have had a Marvel series lined up ready to go as soon as Mandalorian was done. And then as soon as that was done, you had Clone Wars. And then as soon as Clone Wars was kind of ramped up and done, then you should have had another Marvel series. You know, they should have had this staggered and ready to go. I don't know what the fuck Bob... Maybe this is another reason why Bob Iger's in trouble, because he kind of flubbed this. I mean, it was a big hit out the gate, but I got to imagine they have a similar situation like they did on CBS All Access where, yeah, you get a big flurry of people after the first Star Trek Discovery came out, but then once the show starts going downhill, everybody's checking out. Once their free things are up, same thing with Picard.
Oh, yeah. How many people were out after episode 2?
2, 3, or 4 at the most, yeah.
5 was like, I think 5 was just a big FU to the
Yeah, I was going to say, by that point, I think there was a lot of people, even some of the diehards were like, nope, I can't do it no more.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is with Disney, like, we're... okay, we'll get to the Wolverine thing in a moment, but like you're trying to sell to my age group, my demographic, 90s nostalgia. Hey, kids, remember growing up watching Spider-Man and the X-Men and all these old Marvel cartoons? Yeah. But then the new stuff that they do with these characters and these IPs isn't great or respectful, like Star Wars. Again, we all love the OT on this stream, the 1313, the game that got canceled. Thanks, Kathleen Kennedy. So the game, the all the good shit that got canceled, but we all love the old school stuff. But it got bastardized, and then they want to sell it to you, and to me it's a hard sell. It's like, if you don't respect it as legacy enough, why should I respect you enough to give you my money, if that makes sense? So
no, I agree. I mean, I wished I wouldn't have bought a year of this shit up front.
Thankfully I didn't, but once
it was
it
the
goes,
cheapest way to do it. I mean, it was like, I don't know, it was stupid.
Dude, I pre-bought the DC streaming service. I probably watched 5 hours of it in a year. It got canceled because I got a new debit card. I'm not renewing it.
Yeah, and that's supposed to get probably soaked up into whatever Warner's thing, HBO Max or whatever it's called. Yeah.
See, I think those kind of streaming services will end up being better because Disney, Warner Brothers, to me, like the Warner Media, AT&T, all that is like what Netflix used to be, where it's just a bunch of shit that's owned by whatever. Like, remember how Netflix would pay the licensing fee to get Friends or The Office or this or that, and it's basically a one-stop shop for everything. Oh, Indiana Jones is on here, Back to the Future's on here, pretty much everything. This whole compartmentalized IP hoarding just is really boring. Like, when I make videos, I keep some of this stuff on, and like, there's about 3 things on Disney Plus I can do. So,
yeah.
Yeah, there was nothing else I was looking at that I even wanted to watch. Like, there's just nothing on I'm so much like I don't have time to go back and rewatch a lot of this stuff, and there's just nothing new and original yet.
I mean, even if you have kids, I mean, out there in the chat, if you got kids and you got Disney Plus, is there enough shit on there to keep them occupied, or are they already kind of?
Are they bored with it and just going and playing Fortnite and playing stuff on their phones? Because
yeah, I'm not a parent, but I don't advocate like, hey, get your kids a streaming service so they can be, they can keep their attention elsewhere. It's like, no. Even then, I could pull up Disney Plus right now, look at the shit it offers, and there's nothing, because I loved the Clone Wars when it came on. I think the new episode that I saw was really good and still to the same level of quality because it was made from back then. But you're right, Tom. Everything should have been staggered. It's really difficult. Like, I'd personally like the whole binge watch method of what's like, oh, there's a new Marvel show. Here it is. I'll watch it over a weekend. I'll be done for a year. Some people like the weekly, especially with the way we all talk about pop culture here on our channels. It's nice. It keeps people interested for 8 weeks out of the year. But there should be more. And WandaVision is what? 4 months away. Cap and Falcon is many months away. Right now, if I'm Disney, I'm thinking, like, how can I keep people hooked coming back for more? We got 2 more months till Black Widow. Like, what are they going to do? Get nostalgia views of Captain Marvel because it's International Women's Month again?
I doubt it.
Yeah. Yes, kids do deserve good entertainment. So there you go.
The other thing, those are the only 2 movies that they've had, that were worth a shit to start this with, were Captain Marvel and Rise of Skywalker. Well, 3, they had Endgame too, but outside of those 3, Endgame was the only hit, and that aren't very much of a drawing, as far as movies go either. I suppose Frozen 2 will be a pretty big drawing.
Yeah, I know we have a couple. One of our listeners is pretty into that, and I'm like, hey, you're a cool dude. More power to you. I've never seen it. I just know, like, I'm of the age, like, I'm not going to go see Onward. Nothing to do with the religious backlash. You can watch my video for my take on that. I just don't go watch kids movies anymore. I watched The Addams Family because it was the first movie my mom and I ever saw in theaters, and I moved away, and that was the last one we ever saw for now. So it was kind of like a nice way to bookend that. But I guess Frozen's going to sell to people, to families. I don't get it. I get that families spend money on entertainment, take their kids to Disney World, but there's also single people that will buy all your shit because they don't have a family to worry about. So there just needs to be a happy medium. Drake and Josh, that was a good show. That was a great show. I don't know if Disney still does animation, folks. I'm not. I don't know. I think The Simpsons has a new animated short in front of a movie, but that's it.
Really?
I thought I read that online. Let me look that up real quick. I don't want to. Well, fucking.
I mean, they did do that Maggie one like years ago, but that was still Fox. I don't know if this would be something they started under Fox or if this is actually something new.
I could be completely wrong. So, wait, here it is right here. I'm not wrong. Disney's massive media empire leads to a bizarre Pixar and Disney or Simpsons team up. Here we go, right here. So I knew I read that somewhere. I wasn't pulling it out of my ass. By the way, folks, we have 1,330 watching, so do me a favor and hit that thumbs up. Simple request from a not-so-simple man. I know Jeremy's not here this week, so I'm trying to bring back the old feeling of the show. But, yeah, for the first time, a non-Pixar title was shown before Pixar feature film in theaters. It was in November 2017, Olaf's Frozen Adventure, blah, blah, blah. Now Disney is rolling out another non-Pixar short before a Pixar movie, but this one is a less sensical. The Simpsons in a short called Playdate with Destiny. A tweet from the official Simpsons account confirmed that the short would open on, or before Onward, Pixar's new movie with Tom Holland and Chris Pratt. So there we go. That's the thing, man.
Interesting.
Kind of sad though.
I dipped out of The Simpsons, about a decade?
Yeah, we just said. We were just talking about it. Yeah.
They're not interesting anymore to me.
No, they're not. Like I said, I stayed strong. Never missed one single episode for 30 years. 30 years. After that 30-year mark, I think I watched like the first few episodes of that season, and then I just kind of like, yeah, this just isn't the same anymore.
One point I want to make of the chat from the chat, people were talking about Nickelodeon. Did you see how Netflix is pretty much going to use the Nickelodeon IP?
Paramount and Viacom, CBS, basically, whatever you want to call them, they're trying to play fast and loose, trying to get some money. That's why they made the deal for Beverly Hills Cop 4. And then they're going to try and get a Paramount-type network thing off the ground for streaming next year. CBS All Access is going to get soaked up into that. But that'll have like a lot of Nickelodeon and MTV and all that kind of stuff attached to it, I'm sure.
I wouldn't. I know it would be a fuckload of money, and you could never get it. But it would be cool to have like old MTV shows and just watch those on streaming. I know you'd have to pay through the nose for the licensing of the music, but I would love to watch just 80s MTV. That would be a lot of fun. That's just me, though. So let's see.
No, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would watch.
A lot of times you had like special guest VJs and shit too, like Weird Al and Freddy Krueger.
You actually played music, and you didn't get the same 5 songs over and over again like you get on the radio nowadays. Like, I can't even listen to the oldies station without hearing the same crap I was tired of then. It's like, oh, great, Paradise City again. I don't want to hear this. I want to hear oldies from, maybe the 80s. I know 80s aren't oldies, but I want to hear different 80s music.
They technically are now. I hate to tell you.
I know. But like when I hear the 80s stuff, like there's other bands that like the bands that I like did other songs too than just.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it.
So bad.
I know what you mean. They only sing 2 or 3 songs by every band. Yes.
Yeah, and it was like that in the 60s era with the 50s radio too. When you listen to that in the 80s, listen to the 50s stuff. I'm like, where is the stuff that I listen to?
Even the satellite radio is almost as bad. One of the few things they have on the one satellite radio, because a friend of mine has the XMF, whatever the hell it's called, in the car. XFM or whatever. And the one 80s station, and I think the 90s station does it too. On the weekends, they'll do like a countdown from whatever 20 some years ago it was. And so then you'll get to hear a lot of songs you've not heard in a long time, because then you actually get to hear the full top 40, and you're surprised. You're like, oh shit, I haven't heard that song in like 20 years. But yeah, you're right. Otherwise, all it is the same 4 or 5 songs from every band, if that, if you're lucky. Normally it's less than that. And then, yeah, they're the most overplayed ones you could find.
My cousin has that. And every time we would hang out, I would say, I want to hear the same song over and over. And he's like, yeah, the day you left the car, it played right after you got out. I wanted to hear Information Society, What's on Your Mind. Because if I have to hear Don't Stop Believing or fuck it, like I like Michael Jackson's music, but there's a point where it's like PYT, I don't need to hear that song ever again. So there's just, Thriller's a good song. I like to listen to it around Halloween. Do I want to hear it all the time? No, I'm with you, though. The repetition.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have that issue with a lot of just IPs nowadays. You just recycle the same stuff. And, for a couple of years, it was let's make the rounds between Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, and then eventually end up on Disney as our final resting place type of thing. It'd be nice if one of these IP holders or one of these other studios or something came together, because we're getting to a point where streaming's so expensive, but we just need a better variety. You got to have stuff that's going to hook you. Altered Carbon looks cool, but if Altered Carbon was the only thing Netflix had to offer, I wouldn't be, keeping up with the service.
They want to get me on board though on the Paramount one, like you were kind of saying, Jeff. Mm-hmm. Put every single Beavis and Butthead on there ever, and I'm there, dude.
Yeah, they got, and Mike Judge has got to get over his own.
He won't do it, but yeah,
yeah, because Way Down the Mexico Way. You've seen that one, right?
Oh yeah.
That's a classic. For those in the chat who don't know what we're talking about, it's an episode where Beavis and Butthead become drug smugglers, and they go to swallow a condom full of drugs, and they forget to tie it off. And,
God, that was a good one. That one got banned, actually.
What did you say?
That one had gotten banned, I think.
Yeah, that's what he means. That's what I'm saying. There's a bunch of them that are banned. And...
Oh, yeah, I've got them all. So.
Well, I'm not going to tell you how to get it, but I'm sure most of you who know how. There's something called the King Turd Collection.
That's the good one. Because that's got all the band episodes. That's got all the music. That's where I was listening to a lot of my music. You see, everybody's like, everybody gets mad at me because I always say I don't like any music that anybody likes. But I was sick of it then because I was glued to the radio from about 1988 to about 1998. So for that good decade there, I knew every band, everything. And I would get tired of the same 5 songs over and over again. So I'd flip up and down the dial. And I'm such a music snob that I'll listen to pretty much any genre as long as this wasn't popular at the time, because I was a mopey teenager in the 90s, and that's the type of thing you did before hipster was a thing. But they're still playing the same stuff I didn't like then, and the stuff I did like is so few and far between. And a lot of the stuff I did like was on Beavis and Butthead. It ended up being there. They would play the more obscure stuff. If you wanted to hear a Frank Black song, you're not going to just hear it on the radio, like your most popular radio station usually, but it'd be on Beavis and Butthead. Or something obscure even. It was great. I loved it.
By the way, to Seamus, I'm glad King of the Hill ended the way it did. It had the perfect closeout episode, the perfect finale. So maybe you could bring it back. I just don't think Disney would, especially in this political climate. It would be nice to have something that wasn't so charged. I know Hank Hill's a man of a certain belief structure, but there are a lot of episodes where the characters all grow and they're like, huh. So maybe one day.
I think there was talk of doing a movie for a while, but that kind of fizzled.
I'm glad. Have you seen the final episode of King of the Hill?
No, but now with Brittany Murphy dead, I don't know if Mike Judge would even consider it.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, literally, it's perfection. Bobby becomes obsessed with knowing different parts of beef. He joins this college stockyard team or whatever the hell you describe it as, where you basically go and you look at cuts of beef and you name the steak and all this stuff. And Hank's proud of them. They go to state, they win a trophy, and then it ends with Hank and Bobby with their own little grills grilling off, and everyone comes over and hangs out. It's like the perfect end of the series. I don't think there's anywhere else to go with King of the Hill, and especially with dead actors.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
It's nice though when we have characters be respected by their creators. And we don't really have that these days. So let's just look real quick. We're going to play a parallel game in a moment. So right here, folks, today is the 3-year anniversary of Logan. So tell me your thoughts about that. I'm going to catch up on the super chats, and we're going to keep this show a-rolling tonight. So first off, I want to thank Dr. Coffin Nails. He says, Jebby Nichols is a fake geek confirmed. I think Mahler would be mad if you used the Jeb in regards to Jenny Nicholson. But hey, didn't he have her on or something once, and they did an episode about her, something like that?
Who?
Mueller and Jenny Nicholson.
Oh, they did an episode about it. I don't know about having her on, though.
Okay.
If they did, that's news to me. I think she commented or said something about it in one of her videos, though.
I would have any of these people on the fucking show. I'm not afraid.
That's the thing is we get shit once in a while for some of the people we interview, but it's like we'll talk to anybody. Just because we talk to them doesn't necessarily mean we believe in what they're saying or even, support what they're saying. But we will give just about anybody a forum to talk as far as like, somebody who's, out there in the industry and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if it's pop culture related, yeah, come on, world class bullshitters. This is I would call it your Switzerland, maybe. I don't know. I have a take on everything. Dr. Coffin also says, if Jeff doesn't love Lord of the Rings, part of me will die. Well, Dr. Coffin hopefully that part gets revived by the time we hang out in Cincinnati at Horror Hound in just a few weeks. So, folks, if you want to meet me or any of the guys from World Class Bullshitters, we'll be at Cincinnati Horror Hound March 20th through the 22nd, Sharonville Convention Center. Excuse me, can't talk. And we'll be hanging out. And we're going to be giving you guys a preview of our special project that we'll talk about this Thursday night. Dion's Special Horseful Biscuit says, Rian Johnson is doo-doo juice. Don't worry, we're closing out the show with Rian Johnson. He is doo-doo juice. A big steaming pile of it. Dr. Coffinail says, Alan Dean Foster's treatment was superior to both. Didn't Alan Dean Foster, didn't he write the Star Wars novel? Right? The first novelization of Star Wars written by him? Okay.
He might have even done like the first 3 movies. If I remember. I can't remember. I've got him sitting over on the shelf somewhere.
I just know that book was hugely popular. I believe it sold out the first 2 printings, maybe just the first printing, but
no, I think it sold out all and quite a few actually. I think it might even sold up till 2nd or 3rd, like you said. But the thing that was funny is that's the reason there's a misconception that the movies are based on books is because, like we said earlier, that book came out a year before the movie did to drum up interest,
and it did a great job. I wish other studios or other IPs, new IPs, would take the Star Wars approach and not try to build a universe from the outset. Just, have a lived-in world with a great story and then build it from there.
You know what? I never heard the word spoilers until, like, in the last few years. Especially, like, in the 80s. We didn't give a shit. You watch any 80s trailer? Go on YouTube after we're done here and look up a bunch of 80s trailers.
Yeah,
they give away the whole goddamn movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they didn't care back then. If the movie was good and they knew it was good, you always got the novelization first. You had the sticker books, the story books, all that shit. The comics adaptations would always hit the market before the movie would.
And they do that to a degree with the kids' books these days. But even then, they're like, I guess because of the internet, they're so worried it's going to cut into the bottom line. They're going to put something in a movie that people don't like. But you could have put out a comic book adaptation of Endgame before the movie came out. People would have still paid to see that movie. It's all about goodwill and hype, and if you have it right, nothing's going to stop these people.
Exactly.
Nothing. Let's see. Our friend Thunder Robots, thank you very much. He says, you think Corey Feldman's tell-all upcoming movie has anything to do with what's going on with the Disney executives? Have you guys heard about this?
Yeah, he did a movie about the 2 Coreys being,
abused.
By the guys in Hollywood.
The time doesn't, as far as when those people would be in charge and the connection between Corey and Haim and Feldman, they don't line up. There's a lot of people who are speculating on who it could be, but it's hard to say.
I'm really torn about this Thunder Robots because personally, I want to watch this documentary. I just don't trust Corey Feldman to put it out there. Like, I feel like we're going to get all this hype. People are going to talk about it. He's going to say all the names are revealed, and then you don't get it. And I'm not saying this documentary is a scam. I think the story is incredibly important, and I would like to support, the truth getting out there. I just don't know if Corey Feldman's capable of the proper delivery method, if that makes sense.
Well, not to go down a rabbit hole. That's what I was saying the whole time when the Me Too thing first started going around. Like, what about the kids? It's like, yeah, most of these women knew what they're getting into, but these kids didn't.
Yeah.
No.
And they're being pimped out by their parents almost literally. So it's like, I mean, yeah, there's a lot more kids.
For any of that shit ever. Like, that's the one thing where it's like, oh, they did something to that. No, you have no whatever. Fuck you people. You're the worst.
Yeah.
But I like I said, Thunderbots, I want to know this. I want to see it. I'm really torn. I'm tempted to buy it, but I just don't know if I can trust him. It's sad.
I think he's going to, because from what I read, That's the reason he's releasing it and playing it one time only or whatever on the internet, and then afterwards he's going to have like a press pack for the press, because that's his whole thing is, you know, if he does it as like a theatrical or a video release, somebody will get a hold of it ahead of time or whatever, and it will leak out and blah, blah, blah. And this way everybody finds out at the same time, and then the press, you know, all finds out at the same time. And yeah, I think he's going to do it. I think he's scared. I think that we're going to hear some possible surprising names, but I don't know if it'll necessarily be anybody who, like, I think people are expecting, I don't want to like speculate, but I'm just going to say this name because he's quite synonymous with him. But, you know, people might say like Spielberg or something like that, but I don't think so.
Spielberg's going through some serious shit right now with his stepdaughter. You heard about that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I really don't think it's him. I think it's probably some producer or a manager of some type, possibly. Most definitely a producer, because I think he already said it was one of them was a producer. So,
well, keep this in mind. Spielberg just stepped down from Indiana Jones, though.
Well, not just that. Here's the other thing, though. Corey Haim and Corey Feldman never made a movie with Spielberg together.
That's true. So
and whoever this, and he already said one of them a long time ago, and that was Charlie Sheen. But supposedly that was only between Corey Haim and Charlie Sheen, and Corey Haim's mom says no, that's not true. So again, like Jeff said, you have this hard time of, well, is he really telling the truth, or is he just trying to get attention because he's just, you know, a third tier actor now, basically.
Yeah, you guys can Google how to get it. Some people are asking in the chat. Just Google it.
You basically have to buy tickets through a website. Yeah, it's a weird
and
thing.
then you just click on it, and they'll have you have a link, and it's like at 3 a.m. or something.
Yeah, whenever it drops. Yeah.
Savage Rush 012 says, "Don't you all think you're being a little too hard on Lucasfilm and Disney? According to Kathleen Kennedy, they had no source material to draw from. Expanded universe." Yeah, I mean, come on. A multi-billion-dollar corporation that had countless comic books and novels and other ancillary material to adapt, card games, role-playing games. No, we should be. You know what, guys? Right now, it's official. We're changing the channel name to I'm Sorry, Kathleen Kennedy, and every day is going to be a 12 to 15-minute apology of why that woman is so great. Okay, no, it's not. I can't do this. I can't play this ruse up anymore. Yeah, Savage Rush, I love the sarcasm. Thank you very much. But yeah, Disney, these companies have no excuse. When you're that big, you have no fucking excuse.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have budgetary, limitations. They don't have resource limitations. If somebody says, "Hey, I'm Kathleen Kennedy. I'm with Lucasfilm and Disney," you don't even need to say anything past "I'm Kathleen Kennedy." They're gonna say, "Oh, yes, Miss Kennedy." At least they were, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but not now. Like now, people don't even want to work for her. That's what I keep hearing, is that directors don't even want to work.
I've talked to directors who have actually said they won't. I've talked to a few, and then I've even had like people who say they know people who said they won't. Or there's people who you can't believe that they haven't been called and even asked. So, I mean, there's a few, like, what the fuck's going on with this whole thing? And Kathleen, and I do, again, this is very possible that Bob Iger's coming down to kind of babysit Kathy until she's gone. I don't know.
It's a very interesting time for all this Disney stuff. That's all I can say.
I mean, he said a year ago the buck stops with him on Star Wars now. Well, that's normally not the case when you have it as a separate studio and somebody else runs it. I mean, Kevin Feige has complete autonomy, or however you want to put it. So,
yeah, well, they dropped the ball with it. That's all I can say. Daniel Bull says, "Do you think the worst Star Wars movie is better or as bad as the worst Marvel movie?" So let me rephrase that. You think the worst Star Wars movie is as better or worse than the worst Star Wars or the worst Marvel movie? I can't speak. I'm sorry. I got this cat in front. Get off. Fuck.
Nah, because I even Captain Marvel, I could probably sit through again. I haven't tried, but there's Star Wars movies I can't sit through again.
Neca?
Yes.
She's not really a Marvel fan to begin with, though, so I don't know if that's a fair question for her. But
what was the question?
Is the worst Star Wars film better or worse than the worst Marvel film?
Oh, well, I haven't seen all the Marvel films. And no, note in front of thousands of people, I haven't reviewed all of them either. So I don't know. I think there's some Marvel films I absolutely hate, but that's out of my own taste, I think. I might have to disqualify myself on that one because I haven't seen all of the Marvel films. So
I will say, I hate Captain Marvel and think it's a bad movie for a lot of issues. It is still better than The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker. Probably less infuriating than The Force Awakens, but I would rather watch Solo: A Star Wars Story or Rogue One over Captain Marvel. But with that being said, I'd rather watch any other Marvel movie over those.
I'd have to try Captain Marvel again, but I could not get through Solo the second time. Once that fucking robot come on, I was done.
But when she got shot up, I cheered.
I couldn't get past it. She's just so grating to me. Like, it's bad enough I got to deal with not, Han Solo and all that bullshit. it just, once we get to Pando and that robot, it's like, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Well, I mean, thankfully that woman's writing the next James Bond movie.
But I couldn't make it through The Last Jedi again, too, to be fair. The Leia Papa scene the second time did it. I couldn't do it.
The thought of watching that film gives me hives.
No, I haven't sat through any of them again. Like any of the Star Wars again since I saw them the first time.
I've seen Force Awakens probably 4 times, maybe 5. I've seen Rogue One 2 or 3. That's it.
Yeah, I saw Force Awakens twice in the theater. I saw Rogue One in the theater, Last Jedi in the theater. And now I saw Rise of Skywalker twice. I'm never going to watch it again, but I wanted to make sure I had all of my thoughts together with Rise of Skywalker. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything, especially since when I saw Last Jedi, I wasn't reviewing it for the channel because I just watched it as a casual, normal viewer. This is before I started reviewing Star Trek even, because it took me about half the season of Star Trek to switch over from gaming. I can't rewatch those though. I think I tried to rewatch The Last Jedi and I just couldn't. There's just nothing there. I turned it off right away.
Endgame was Last Jedi bad. I couldn't believe it. I don't know if it's that bad.
I was going to say, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I understand people had high expectations for it, but...
And then I can't watch Endgame again either. Like the Marvel movies... Well, the only one I did try and watch twice was Guardians of the Galaxy because I thought, okay, maybe I was just in a shitty mood when I watched it for the first time. But yeah, it's still not. I think I prefer the second one, but that's.
I actually like the second one better too.
Same.
See, I'm trying to think of which Marvel movies that I really, really want to see again too, on top of Star Wars, because they haven't been spectacular. I would probably rewatch Doctor Strange. Because that
didn't you like Infinity War all right though?
I liked it okay. Yeah, I liked Infinity War a lot more than I liked Civil War. But Civil War had some parts that I was falling asleep in, but I don't know.
I know, but you're just a tough sell because
I
you're
know,
just
and
not
I
your
hate
cup of
everything.
tea,
So don't take it personally, guys, in chat. Cancel. This is where I pop on my soundboard or on my little.
No, I mean you're more of a Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who kind of person. Stargate.
Yeah, like I was qualifying myself as I'm the Trek fan who's not getting Star Trek anymore, so I'm branching out and coming into these things newer. I never admit to be. I never claim to be the hardcore comic book person because the comics I collected were Archies when I was a kid, and Tales from the Crypt and lots of Horror Haunted Fear.
Yeah,
great comics.
I saw some sacrilege in that chat up there. Kathy had nothing to do with Congo. I am Mr. Congo. That's right, Gary Marshall, Congo. Don't ask. It's a fucking joke.
All right, I won't.
I'm sure that's why they said it, just to get me going.
Neca,
I think I would watch The Last Jedi over Captain Marvel again any day, though, because at least Last Jedi had porgs, and I can't help it. They're cute. I'm sorry. That's all I needed, and I didn't like the movie sucked, but. Porgs are cute. I wanted to like something in that damn thing after.
Yeah. Oh my God, and here goes Congo in the chat. Gary Marshall is Kathleen Kennedy's husband. He's only directed a few movies, one of which is Congo. So, yeah, we have some fun with that. And Arachnophobia and Alive.
Well,
those are like his 3 big movies.
I saw Arachnophobia as a kid. I mean, I don't dislike it, but I don't love it either. I will say
Frank Marshall. Did I say Gary? I'm sorry. I meant Frank. I don't know why I said Gary. Gary Marshall would be Penny Marshall's brother. Jesus.
She passed away a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, not too long. Was it? Has it been that long already?
Oh wow.
God. Congo.
So let's see what else we got. Adam Walford, thank you very much. He says, my 8-year-old, and she watches Sailor Moon Crystal. I only know the original Sailor Moon, Adam, so maybe is it a modern spin-off, a modern take?
Like a remake.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just like really updated, and I think updated animation from what I remember, from what I heard.
We also have our friend Logan Michael, Anti-Funko Pop, says, do you think NECA will make a Back to the Future DeLorean? Well, Logan Michael, I hope they do. Because
fingers fucking crossed, yeah.
Yeah, Tom and I had this discussion. Fingers crossed. If they make it, we will buy it, hands down.
Because I want to set it there, and I want to recreate the poster with Marty.
Same. Darian 217 says, we will never see Daria because of music licensing. Darian, what they did do with Daria is they cut the music out and they released it on DVD. So Daria does exist and they could stream it, but just not
I didn't like Daria. And Mike Judge didn't like it either.
I didn't like it either. I found her to be, she's pre-SJW.
Well, it was kind of a show where they took the character away from Mike Judge and just said, we're going to make this show.
Mm-hmm.
I used to love Daria. I bought it on DVD. I haven't watched it in years, though.
Because the sad part, if you guys don't know this, MTV actually owns all the characters.
Yeah.
And finally, for now, Dix Insider says, if Rian Johnson's head is the Death Star, would Pablo Hidalgo be one of its moons? I would think so.
He's too widow.
He's too little?
Well, Rian Johnson's head is perfectly round.
He's just a widow guy.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Tom. I don't even see the sign of a good friend is if I can make a shitty reference like that and you know exactly what it is right away. I'm like, we're fucking golden, man.
That's right. It's like the banana in the tailpipe.
Ain't falling for banana tailpipe. So, I'm showing you this screen for a reason. We're not going to talk about how great Logan was for an extended period of time.
It was great.
Some people love it. Some people hate it. I haven't seen it since it came out, and I remember really liking it. But Logan was the prime example of taking a character to many and elevating it, making a film more than just your basic non-MCU superhero flick. For many, Logan was the film of the year in 2017. It was a big deal. People loved it. Now, from what I can say, personally, as Wolverine is my second, maybe that's my favorite X-Men character these days. Big Wolverine fan, love the character, the suit, the design, everything. And you know it bothers me a great deal when they change the character for no reason. If it makes sense, if it's great, you know, I'm all for like, hey, we got to grow these characters and keep them relevant for decades and decades. But that's not the case with X-Men these days. Now, guys, I know in the chat people are ready to hear about this. They've been waiting for a while. I don't know if you've seen it, but Wolverine gay, X-Men in shambles. Have you guys been keeping up with this story about this relationship between Scott, Jean, and Logan, this sexual relationship?
Do we see it?
In the comic, they are now.
Are they naked? Do they do the giggity?
Not in a Marvel book. Apparently,
I just got to assume that Scott's the bitch. The bottom, I mean, anyway.
See, that's the thing. They make this so important, but they're like, okay, you are not showing this anyway. Like, why do we care? The only way that this is important to anybody, like, they're superheroes. They're little who they're doing the giggity with isn't important, right?
I mean, it is to a degree. Like, so Marvel characters have always been their identity, their secret identity, as well as their superhero identity. So if you read a Spider-Man comic, it's as important to know what Peter Parker is up to with his life with Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy and, you know, other people as well as Spider-Man's fighting Doc Ock or whatever. And the X-Men is the same thing too. You pick up a good X-Men comic, a Chris Claremont X-Men comic, maybe a third of the book or half the book is them in the mansion or out in their own personal daily lives, because Storm is not just Storm, she's Aurora Monroe. Scott Summers is Cyclops. All these characters are, important to the story with the Marvel books. But Marvel has gone down this path, and I don't know why they do it. I don't know what they think will come of it, but now Wolverine is gay in the comics, and there we go.
I got a fuzzy memory. Was the love triangle only in the movie, or was that in the comics too?
It was in the comics for sure.
Okay, I thought so, but I couldn't remember for sure. But I mean, what was wrong with just having a love triangle? I don't get it.
I don't either. I always felt bad for Wolverine, like, oh, you love Jean Grey so much, but you can never have her because, Scott might be a dick, but, he's not a piece of shit guy. And see, to me, a lot of the X-Men stuff gets convoluted, I guess, when Joss Whedon starts to write it. But I just don't like... And this is like last week, the rumor was about bi-curious or gay Spider-Man. And now we have this with Wolverine. It's like, what is the point? Can somebody give me an actual valid reason why they make these changes?
I would assume it's so that we talk about them and it's free marketing and publicity at this point. Because even my mother...
If he's Canadian, does it count as a double shiny?
Well, my mother is asking, who's the spider girl who's gay? And I'm like... No, she did. She was like, she asked me that today. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Well, this one's gay and this one's gay. And then, Batwoman. That's who you're talking about. She was like, if she has real TV and knows what CW is.
But no, like Mecha has her little woke bingo. Since Wolverine's Canadian, does that count as a double shiny?
Well, double shiny is when you race and gender swap.
That's what. It has to be swapped. Okay.
Yeah.
I just figured it meant since he's kind of diverse character and they made him gay now or bisexual.
No, that's going the gender.
See, I don't even understand how it all works. That's the thing.
I don't either. It's like, which of the 47 genders is he now? I mean, unless you tell me, then how am I the average? I mean, not really me, but how is the average little white girl who's yelling about it on Twitter, who doesn't even buy these comic books, feel? Like, how does she know how to represent him if you don't know which one of the 47,000 genders that he is, but he's gay? How does that complete her and make her feel good about herself? I think that's why they do it, just so people getting on Twitter have something.
You ever notice the other thing with this though? It's only okay if it's two guys, usually, or a very, very, very submissive girl or a guy. I mean. Like, then once in a while, I think they've had two women with a guy, but very rarely have I seen anything like that. It's usually the women who have guys fawning over them. Because She-Hulk is the same thing. Like, I guess lately, like, I was watching Literature Devil earlier, and he was saying that everybody lately in the comics, it's all these guys are always fawning over She-Hulk, even though she's this big, burly, Melissa McCarthy looking shit.
Well, it depends who draws her.
Yeah, but the whole thing is it's okay to have all these men fawning over her, but I thought that was like, men aren't supposed to do that. But I guess it depends on what you mean by fawning, I suppose.
Oh, no, it's only okay if you have a reverse harem, because if you have a harem, it's sexist. You can only have one if it's run by
I am so confused. I don't understand. I think they're trying to make me confused.
They have confused everybody.
I'm just waiting for the Batwham and Giggity scene to come on in my head, I guess. This is so... I really think it's just a marketing stunt at this point. They're out of ideas. They don't know what else to do, and they're following the trends, and they know that this gets attention. They don't care about these characters. They don't care about making, any... And really, realistically, we're to the point where... at least in the movies are concerned, I've already seen it. So what are they going to do? Just reboot it? And they're trying anything they can to keep them fresh. And this is what we end up with. We end up with these sort of reboots of, it's sort of a way to reset the character, to change it just enough to where you don't have to write a new one. but you can get some free press out of it.
I mean, are they trying to actively turn off most fans? I mean, we already know that, you know, the whole thing with, oh, if we do this, then it's you know, it's a shield from criticism, right? We go through that all the time.
Yeah.
But this is just getting beyond that. It's almost like they pick the one character that you know is going to piss off the most manliest of men in the community, because, like, I know tons of people who love Wolverine, right? And if I went and told certain people that Wolverine's gay, they would probably cry.
That's, I guess, the point though that they want to make. Hey, we can.
That's what I think. I mean, that's what I'm getting to. Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with Picard and Captain Kirk, and they want to take your heroes and your icon, the Doctor Who. They want to take your heroes and icons and literally and figuratively chop off their balls. Like, they literally did it with the Doctor, and she's like, I had an upgrade.
I mean, I got like biker type friends and like relatives that have like Wolverine tattoos and shit. You know,
these are little girls who are mad at daddy, and they're mad that they have to work for a living.
Well, this is a dude writing this, Jonathan Hickman. Now look, here we go. Classic X-Men, written by Chris Claremont, drawn by John Byrne. Here we go. Logan on a date, going on and on about how
John Hickman's a little girl mad at daddy.
Maybe he's like Mr. Garrison. I'm not going to actually say, but if those who've seen South Park know the episode I'm talking about.
I'll just say, we're getting to the point where some of these guys might as well be little girls mad at daddy, because they're just as much.
You never loved me, Dad.
No, they're just as much of pussies anymore. Like, I get into it all the time with these little soy boy types who, and I hate using the term, but that's what a lot of these types end up being when I get into it. And they're like, oh, you're just complaining. You should go do something positive with the world. You know, it's the male feminist types. It's that type of guy. They want to get on your ass. They want to get on your ass, and they want to insult you and knock you down a peg because they're so feminist about it.
Sorry, they're getting into the chat. My bad. I'm not laughing at you.
Oh man.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
You never loved me, Dad. Sorry.
Cucks.
By the way, I want to give a shout out to Mir Sedansky for his "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" reference.
I gotta watch more of that. I've only seen a few of them.
They had an episode. Okay, so it just came to Hulu, the 14th season, and there's an episode that feels like they paid attention to the online pushback against Star Wars and the fandom. They don't name us, they don't say, but it feels exactly like that. I'm going to do a video for Patreon on it, but they get pulled in to do a test screening for a movie, and they're talking about like the women, they're too strong, they're too smart, they're this, they're that. What happened to the sex appeal? Like, why aren't they showing this and that? And it was just a really funny take, but it was almost, you know, too real, if that makes sense. So
I like Ronan Blade's question. Is the gay community really asking for this? Honestly, probably not. Because you probably ask most gay guys and they'd be like, no, I like manly fucking Wolverine. I like the idea of thinking that if I can get him, it's because I turned his ass, not because he's already into me. I guarantee you that's what they say. I know enough gay guys that that's what they say.
Yeah.
Older ones anyway. I don't know about some of these younger SJW ones, but
that's the thing. I don't see a lot of younger SJW gay guys. I see a lot of, you know, just normal gay guys who actually.
No, they'd be like, bitch, I'll turn his ass.
Yeah.
I hear that all the time.
Well, really, they're more normal. They're like, I don't want to be used as just a diversity token. You know, don't just use me because I'm gay. Don't just use me because I'm bi. Don't just use me because of this or this. You know, what does that have to do with anything? And that's just basically getting down to shielding themselves from criticism by throwing in these characters, and they're trying to appease their peers in Hollywood, their peers in the comics industry. They're trying to get in the pants of these people with their agendas. And of course, nobody wants to come off as sounding phobic. So of course, when you're in a group of strangers, what do you say? Oh yes, diversity is a wonderful thing. You know, you go to the, oh yes, Sonequa Martin Green, she's a lovely person, or Rose Tico, she's a lovely woman. And, you know, we're not saying anything bad about the actress personally. You go into this overemphasis defense mode because people get so over hypersensitive anytime they think you might be anti this or that. because everybody wants to feel superior to everybody else.
What the fuck is istophobic? Istophobic, like
It's,
ist. You're a racist
yeah,
or a
you're an ist
racist
or a phobe. I
or a
say ists
phobic.
and phobes
Yeah.
because I think that racist gets
I think
flagged.
just you said it so fast. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
Well,
that's fine.
You
Well,
were
do you think
passing in
maybe
here, I'm like,
I
"Oh."
gotta ask Mecca this as a woman? Do you think this is maybe the other reason for this could be that they're trying to make Wolverine less threatening for women to get into comics?
I wouldn't read it if he were gay or straight.
I'm not saying you, but
I
I'm just
know.
saying from the point of view, do you see them doing that?
Possibly. Well, that's the thing. They want to make women like comics, and women are going to like comics or not like comics. More men tend to like comics because a lot of more men tend to like the more fantastical is power fantasy, and women's power fantasy is something kind of different for the most part. Not all women are going to be liking, reality TV 100% of the time, and not all men are going to like superhero stuff 100% of the time. But in general, and it's okay to have the differences, and it's okay to not like the same stuff, and it's okay to say, you know what, if 80% of our demographic is male, we're going to cater to that 80% of our demographic and give them the best shit. And if it's good, their girlfriends are going to come and see it, and we'll just cast really hot sexy actors in these roles, but we're still going to appeal to the male crowd and give the girls something to look at. The girls don't want to see themselves on screen. The girls don't want to see a superhero movie about them. That's why Thunder Force is going to be such an amazing
Sons of
disaster.
Aquamonarchy. That's exactly a good reason there. They didn't go to see it because they like Aquaman. They went to see it for fucking Jason
I
Momoa
went to see it because I'm like, okay, I can look at Jason Momoa on screen for 2.5 hours or whatever it was.
without
it
a
was
teacher.
fine. Yes, exactly. He's dripping wet. He's there. He's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with looking at Jason Momoa for 2 hours. And that's all I need out of these movies. You don't need to give me an agenda. You don't need to make me feel represented, because guess what? I looked a lot like, I got the hair. I looked a lot like Amber Heard did in that movie. And I sure shit wasn't looking at her. And I sure shit wasn't self-inserting myself into there. Because seriously, it's
I was looking at
movie.
Dolph Lundgren the whole time.
It's a movie. I'm looking, but I'm not obsessed
Thanks
with
for leaving me
it.
hanging there, Jeff.
And that's the other thing, that they're trying to appeal to these people, like we're bringing it back to the Raylos. They try to appeal to these people by self-inserting this into this movie, and these people don't care about sleeping with them themselves. They care more about the on-screen romance between the two fictional characters.
I know, and I was just kidding, but no, seriously, that's exactly the same thing I've heard over and over again, not just from you, but a lot of other ladies in the fandom and people in my life. They don't go to see Rambo because they want to see, Rambo get into a gay relationship. They want to see Rambo blow shit up. They don't go see a Schwarzenegger movie because they don't like action. They go because they want to see Schwarzenegger back when he was sexy. Same thing with like a Bruce Willis movie because they think he's cute and funny or whatever. It goes both ways. We find women attractive in movies for different reasons too, but we're not allowed to anymore. That's the other thing, is like we're told we're not allowed to ogle the women that were meant to be, not necessarily ogled, but we're supposed to be able to go, hey, she's good looking, I want to watch her for 2 hours, like you just
it was gold too. It was like, oh, you've got an attractive woman with nice curves and a nice body. I will get a butt master and do those exercises to get my butt to look like hers. And of course you're never going to do it, but it's something in your head that you're going to strive for. It's like watching the Food Network or something. I'm never going to make a 10-course meal, but I'll watch one. That's the thing. It's fantasy.
Yeah, you're sitting there eating ice cream, but you're watching that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't.
Like, I could totally fucking do that, but I'm not gonna.
Well,
I don't want to see myself on screen. If I wanted to see myself on screen, I would look in a damn mirror.
Yeah, or just watch your own YouTube videos.
Right, if you're that narcissistic.
Videos in Star Trek sometimes.
Well, that's the other problem. We live in such a narcissistic society now. All these kids, a lot of them, they actually think that becoming not just a YouTube celebrity, but a influencer is an actual legit job you can actually aspire to. I mean, it's sad.
Because YouTube's not going to be around much longer.
Well, not just that, but I mean, how long? The bubble's going to burst on certain things. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, a lot of these kids, you got even kids out there faking their entire existence. I'm not even going to say names because they'll probably strike a stream, but where they're just pretending to be these big influencers to try and get themselves out there. And it's just like, God, you kids really think this is how it works? It takes a lot of work and effort and time to get to where a lot of people are at, I mean, yeah, you guys and us, we have like 100-some thousand subscribers, but really in the grand scheme of things, compared to the big channels, we're just small fish in a huge pond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At least we can keep swimming, though. That's the part I like.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll hopefully keep our heads above water through this whole thing, definitely. But I think a lot of these influencers and all that kind of shit's definitely going to go away after a while, yeah.
Well, a lot of the people were just famous because they had a huge Twitter following or something, and they didn't actually.
And it started with like the Kardashians and the Paris Hiltons and all that kind of shit.
Well, yeah, and then it kind of littered into the geek girl communities. There's a lot of these geek girls that don't do a goddamn thing. They don't create content. They just show up at these conventions and paint their tits on Twitch, and they don't actually create content or anything entertaining. They don't give you their take or opinion. They don't even article read. They don't have any content other than, hey, here's my tits. Here's this. It's like, yeah, if I got a low cut thing on my thumbnail and I have a jiggle cam, I'm still giving you guys something. Other than that, I'm just like, you know what else can I give my audience, since I'm not good at editing and I'm not good at any of this other stuff? I don't have any artistic ability. Oh, I got cleavage. I don't mind showing it. I'm not a prude, whatever. And some of these girls, though, these are the ones who start a lot of the drama. They start a lot of the trouble. A lot of the Gamergate chicks, and a lot of the people that came out of the Change the Channel drama, and a lot of the people that came out of the Kick Vic stuff, and the people who start hashtags of things with that sort of movement. They didn't have anything that they contributed, and they never actually did a damn thing. And those people are the ones who get the most pissed at those of us who actually go out and make videos and stuff and stream and have something to say.
Yeah, it's a weird world we live in right now, put it like that. It's weird that we do what we do, but I'm happy about it. Hold on one second, we got
fucking Congo keeps Congo.
We'll tweet you in your sleep. Stop eating my sesame cake. I love that fucking line.
Hey, I know Ernie Hudson. He's a Ghostbuster. He was in Congo.
So I'm going to read these, and then we're going to talk about Rian Johnson. Wanderer says, never forget that Archie and Image Comics had a crossover, and Sonic and Company had a short interaction with Spawn. Oh, God. I've never read that comic book, but I was watching the Spawn TV show the other night on the way back from Texas, and it holds up pretty well. I hope Spawn gets a reboot in a good way, because that 90s movie is rough to watch.
Yeah, John Leguizamo's good in it, but other than that, it's kind of...
Let's see. We also have our friend Matt G. Thank you very much. He sends in $2. And King Archer says, so Wolverine was compensating all these years. Apparently so. I
reject this hypothesis.
Didn't Tarantino say that?
Yes. I reject your hypothesis.
I just, Moonhead Johnson. Crap, I didn't mean to click that one, but we'll leave it up. I need to.
That's no moon.
It's a Rian Johnson. So where is his dumb ass at right here? Ah, there we go. Perfect timing. So Rian Johnson, folks, is probably the second most evil name in Star Wars, right after Kathleen Kennedy. Slightly above Emperor Palpatine. I think Rian Johnson has killed more interest in Star Wars than Palpatine has killed people with the Death Star. And you're thinking, but Jeff, Palpatine wasn't on the Death Star in the first movie. He got that shit built, so he's in charge. You go to the top. We blame Kathleen Kennedy. We can blame Rian Johnson or Palpatine. So, sorry, I'm reading all the comments about Linda Carter, and it's just making me crack up. Sorry. Believe me, trying to read this chat, the super chats, the window, all this other stuff you get. And plus, we have a guy named the Grumpy Diabetic, which is probably the greatest screen name I've ever seen.
Well, you guys all have great screen names usually, and then you guys are some of the funniest mofos in the chat. I tell you that right now. Yeah, that's right, Rob. You know why? Congo.
See, Rob's just going to sit on his butt tonight doing nothing.
He's at home washing his tights.
Where did he get that? How come I don't have one of those?
My God, dude. We did a 30th anniversary stream on like a Wednesday night last year. It was huge for like a Wednesday night summer stream. I loved it. That movie is so perfect. Oh, it's so fun.
The only one I didn't get to see in the theater because I got in trouble that summer and got grounded.
Oh, what'd you do?
I tried stealing some Batman cards. I know, irony, right? Well, my parents knew how to fucking punish me.
Well, I got you, man.
But I guess my dad felt bad and he got me the video right away for Christmas. So.
That was one of those movies we just had in the house when I was a kid, so I just grew up with it. So, let's see. Star Wars The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson admits he didn't care about Star Wars canon and history. So, before we get into this, I think this article right here lays it out for us. Because of this public speech that he gave in regards to Knives Out, this motherfucker is never getting a Star Wars trilogy. I never thought he would after seeing The Last Jedi. I thought it was just straight up hype. Hey, this movie's so great. We're giving the guy his own trilogy. That's how much faith we have. And then we get to 2020, and it's not happening. I don't know how anyone could say, oh, he's still going to get his trilogy and it's going to be great because he's not playing with the established characters. It's not going to work. What do you guys think?
A trilogy. He's going to directing the next Knives Out movie with his new best friend, right? James Bond. Like, dude, he's not getting a trilogy.
Oh, thank you. In other words, fire is hot and water is wet.
No, he's going to end up giving Rob a heart attack by saying that not only is he not doing Star Wars, but he's so in love with Daniel Craig, he's decided that he's going to do another Bond movie, and he talked Daniel Craig into doing it. So he will not only ruin Star Wars, but he'll ruin Rob's and yours and everybody else who's fans of both 007. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have put that in the ether.
Because they listen to our channels for these channels for ideas. So now it's going to be teased after the next Bond movie does, whatever it does.
Rian Johnson.
All I can say is, with that Bond movie, and we'll get back on topic, it just feels like this movie has no hype. No Time to Die. We're a month away.
No time to care.
Yeah.
No time to care.
No time to watch. So Rian Johnson is back in the news again, talking about he didn't care about Star Wars canon and history. And I can't really play the clip because it comes from a Hollywood Reporter. But, he talked about it right here. He says, whenever you're writing, let's say you're creating your own universe, you said you don't think about actors. You are starting something from scratch. How's that approach versus something where you have a pre-existing universe? If you're writing for Star Wars, you have this universe, you have characters that everyone knows. This is the prompt, clearly. How is your approach different? Johnson responds with, no, not at all, because I don't really think in terms of universe or in terms of creating worlds or whatever. That's not interesting to me. He continued, the only thing that is interesting to me is story, and the story specific to, like, whether you're writing a Star Wars film that's part of a 3-movie trilogy or a quote-unquote original thing like Knives Out, you're still telling a story that is new, that is a new thing that you are doing, that it has to work within the context of that movie. Rian Johnson adds, so to me, the notion of what's with the entire galaxy or world that you're creating or something, I can't imagine getting excited about creating that. To me, what I'm excited about is creating a 2-hour-long experience for an audience to have in a theater, and that means how they engaged in the moment, or they engage moment to moment with the story and the characters that are on screen. It doesn't change from one either. So he doesn't care about the Star Wars universe, just giving you a 2-hour experience. Now, I would go as far to say as it was the worst 2-hour experience I've ever had, maybe.
So in other words, he turned Star Wars into a one-night stand with an asshole? Pretty
much. He was... let's just Google who hired Rian Johnson. We know the answer, but I want to see what pops up.
Oh, I got Rob going. Don't even joke about that.
So, saltier than crate. I don't know. We're not going to find it here. But this guy just doesn't get it and never did. Or maybe he got it and he just hates it.
He's the ultimate troll.
He is the ultimate troll, and I don't like him.
No, he seems really shitty. He seems like one of those guys that is just gonna break your toys because he can.
And he's such a small, wimpy little guy too.
I think he just did that to make. I always had a theory that he made Star Wars just so he can make a name of himself. He's like, well, what can I attach? But it's the same thing that Alex Kurtzman and J.J. Abrams always do. They want to go in and they want to attach themselves to something. But no, he already had a name for himself, though. But just to get more publicity for stupid Knives Out.
Well, I mean, the movie's out. It's on airplanes. I saw it. Some people watching it on the flight. It just, it doesn't look like it's interesting to me. I'm almost on principle refusing to watch it. So,
yeah, if you like kind of the Agatha Christie sort of stuff, I mean, and I don't mind his sense of humor on some things, and I think I can appreciate it. It wasn't like really laugh out loud funny, but I liked it when I watched it.
It's one of those movies that because it's a Lionsgate film, they're pushing the shit out of it on video and crap like that. But if it was any other company, they wouldn't give a shit. Or wait, wasn't this put out by Fox? Wait, was it Fox or Lionsgate? I thought it was.
I think it's Lionsgate because it was a big deal that it was $100 million.
I was gonna say, I thought it was Lionsgate. Yeah. So again, and that's what Mecca and I've been saying for a while. You're gonna keep hearing about, there's still a Rian Johnson trilogy until the day he goes, no, I'm just gonna decide to do smaller films, and I may decide to go back to, Star Wars someday, but not right now, and that'll be it.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to come back to Star Wars. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to get another Star Wars. I don't think we're going to get another Star Wars film in theaters for quite some time. It's not going to be like, oh, it's 2022, folks. We're back on the docket for more Star Wars. Look, the Disney management structure is changing rapidly. Iger was out. We didn't even have any clues about that. We got Bob Chapek, who apparently couldn't run the theme park arm very well. Then we have all of these other people at Lucasfilm. We had the story group get disbanded 2 years ago. They never really restructured. Now they got this new thing with the High Republic. It's just it's a dumpster fire. I don't think they're going to be able to get it together.
It's space dinosaurs.
Space dinosaurs, Spinosaurs. No. Let's see. Our friend King Archer says, newsflash, Rian Johnson finally admits he's a cock. Well, you are what you eat, or he just doesn't have it. And Palmer says, if he was a Jedi and ended up with offspring, much like Palpatine, I would support the removal of Rian Johnson's foreskin. Read how this is written. I just want to say that is very, very clever. That is for you, Palmer. That's fucking funny. No, but now we know that basically the 3-year arc is completed. Rian Johnson intentionally ruined Star Wars, or just doesn't give a shit. What do you think he was hired because of Looper? Because he was a young guy, or do you think it's because he was able to be controlled?
Ooh, I think he's probably the only one who said yes.
Well, I think that, and he just told Kathy what she wanted to hear.
Yeah, they seem to be very friendly.
I mean, I think he's in a weird position where he was probably malleable as a director, but they bought into his hype and nothing ever came of it.
And his script hit every one of the points she wanted to make. So,
Well, that's what comes with this agenda first, diversity first, marketing or filmmaking. You don't win, and I mean, no one ever looks at big picture. They look at like, oh, well, The Last Jedi made $1.3 billion. That's cool. That made $750 million less than the previous one, and the next one made even less than that, which means people didn't come back. So you did damage it when you have an almost upward trajectory for Avengers movies. I mean, the first one was 1.5 bill, the next one was 1.4, then one after that was 2 and
not just that, you got Captain Marvel making $1 billion for F's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything
makes $1 billion.
Look, if they had done Disney Star Wars properly, there's no reason Solo couldn't have made $1 billion. A Han Solo movie.
Mm-hmm.
But just, you picked the wrong movie. And I'm so tired of people saying, it came out in May, that's why it's flopped. Every Star Wars movie except the Disney ones came out in May. Like, all of them. May 25th for Star Wars and Return of the Jedi. Maybe May 20th for Empire. And then I think May 25th, 1999 was episode 1. So, I mean, historically, Star Wars has always been a summer franchise. May. So I don't.
May the 4th be with you.
I was going to say, I don't know why they never just capitalized on that and started releasing it in the beginning of May.
Because it's Disney and they fuck everything up. But no, Solo flopped because nobody wanted to go and see the next movie after how bad The Last Jedi was. And we're like, you know what? It doesn't look that good. It looks mediocre. They've reshot it all to crap. They waited until like about a month before to even drop a proper trailer. We had a little teaser. What was it, in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was like 10 seconds long.
And of course, there was nothing. They were waiting so long. It's the same thing with this one, waiting so long with so many reshoots and so much behind the scenes drama and mess and misorganization and misuse of resources and people. They of course nobody was going to go see that except for maybe really, really diehards and the people who had to see it for YouTube.
Yeah, the weird part is too, when we went to see it, it was like a surreal experience because the theater was so empty. I'm just like, we're still living in the 6 months post Last Jedi where everyone's telling us we're wrong and we're the assholes. But at the end of the day, we kind of weren't the assholes. So hey.
Well, because the people who liked the new Star Wars, like the new Disney stuff, don't want to see, old white dude Han Solo movie. I mean, even if it had Khaleesi in it, doesn't matter. It's still, I think it's the principle of it. Like, that's the culture. It's like, oh, that's the old character. Who cares? It's just Han Solo and Chewbacca.
Well, see, Neca, I wanted to see cool Han Solo. I could have even accepted a different actor if the movie was cool. He wasn't cool. He was a lame loser. Like,
yeah.
It's like when you put a Bond movie and Bond isn't really the lead character. And I don't mean the main character that we all, paid to see, but like the lead character where everyone else kind of leads him around. He does, Han's just kind of like watching this world around him. Nobody needed to see an origin of the character. We didn't need to know where he got a stupid name or a stupid gun. Well, his gun's actually really fucking cool. I take that back. We didn't need any of that shit. What we needed was a kick-ass action flick. It could have been cliched as hell. It could have been pointless. To like, oh, why are we telling this story? It doesn't matter. But just like a lot of the Star Wars stuff, you take a little bit of dialogue. Like this is the Disney formula. You take a little bit of dialogue, you sprinkle in familiar imagery and elements, and you slap on a fresh paint of coat. That's intentional, and some nostalgia, and you get the movie. So you took the Kessel Run, a one sentence from the original Star Wars movie, and you turned it into the crux of an entire, $200 million picture, probably more with reshoots. You just should have, made it cool and crazy and not worried about tying everything together. For the amount of time they put into having Lando have his skiff guard costume on the Falcon, or all this other dumb shit, or going to the spice mines of Kessel, and all these, why does the Falcon ship speak so differently? And all that dumb crap that you tried to give us, you forgot to just give us something cool. It could have been something like we've never seen before. You could have had him in the military more. You could have had him on the run more. You could have just done a classic, like Smokey and the Bandit Pirates, any kind of just crazy fun space cowboy movie.
Oh God, why didn't they do a Lando and Han and Chewie going off on an adventure, getting into trouble movie, going gambling? They're out there getting thrown out of casinos, thrown out of saloons and shit. They could have done a space western.
Well, not only that, yeah, show us why he's such a badass, and don't give us the same exact arc he has in A New Hope, because it makes no sense. He's supposed to be a conniving, scruffy looking nerf herder when we first meet him.
And that crap with him being so in love with this chick that he's there like thinking of her for years and years and years, gives her the dice, like the little dice thing, that making that significant to their relationship. Just to have Luke Skywalker hand it to Leia just completely shits all over. Here, take your ex-husband's dead girlfriend's dice that he gave her. And she probably smuggled up her ass, when she was in prison. Because we didn't see what happened to her. She went and got arrested. He hands her the dice. She goes and gets arrested, smuggles them, puts them wherever. She still holds on to them for years and years and years while he's away in the military. They meet up again. She gives them back to him. And then Leia ends up with him in The Last Jedi because what? They wanted to sell us some dice? because they wanted that to be a marketing point.
And I hated all the Chewie stuff as far as them getting introduced to each other and how that all went down. That was bullshit.
It was stupid. It was just bad. It was not a good introduction of a character that we give a fuck about. And and I get it that the younger people, the Reylos, aren't going to care about Han Solo anyway. It's just us old farts who like the original trilogy. So if you're making a movie for us, yeah, you should just got Ron Howard in the first place, and had it been a space heist western something, why couldn't they done that?
Yeah. That, or I get it. The spice mines are in Kessel or whatever, but I always thought the Kessel Run was a race.
Yeah.
And I figured it was like a prestige, for to be a smuggler, and I won this race. It's this, big thing to boast about, or whatever. Or I get it. It's like a smuggling run, but again, it's just, I don't know.
We didn't need to see it. I mean, some of these things, this is exactly what they do in Star Trek too. They give us little member berries and quotes that they heard on the Big Fucking Bang Theory, and they go off and say, oh, you mentioned the cage. Oh, you mentioned the Kessel Run. Therefore, we're going to put it in a movie now. Oh, people always argue about, parsecs. Parsecs is distance, but he's talking about it like it's time. It's like, yeah, because it was a mistake. It was a film mistake, and we can move on from that. You don't need to go in and retcon the fucking thing and make a whole.
No, I think honestly, it wasn't so much a mistake, and because Lucas was thinking about distance and as far as like its navigation computer, but no, they had to take it that much further.
I misspeak. I reverse him again.
By making that stupid fucking robot the goddamn navigation computer
or
whatever.
They ruined the Millennium Falcon by making it SJW Bot 3000. Like, what the fuck? Now the Millennium Falcon is that robot that Lando used to fuck. Literally, because they say, oh, we work it out somehow.
No, I don't even want to think about that. I actually said this movie was better than Captain Marvel. I think I'm wrong.
Captain Marvel had a cat and he was cute.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. I was sure. I was like,
Brie Larson's eye out.
Maybe you just hadn't seen it in a while or something, Jeff. Because yeah, I tried to give it another shot, but
Droid Lives Matter, Droid Rights Matter shit was just cringe.
Why don't they just okay, Matt G sent in a super chat. Well, hold on, are we out of order on these? No, we'll read it right here. First off, we got to read Dale's. Dale says, Rian Johnson killed Luke Skywalker, so no one could ever direct Mark Hamill as Luke after his version. His Luke would be the last one fans would ever have. Isn't that kind of sad, though, to think that all of our great iconic characters that can't be recycled because they're kind of just attached to one actor, they always got to make them go out and go down just in a lame.
Well, what was wrong with Luke? Yep. They have never given us a good explanation as to what is wrong with Luke.
He said he basically interpreted it as he was without the Force like an addict, and then he OD'd on the Force.
No, I get that part. But I mean, what is wrong with Luke as to why they had to tear him down like this? He was the quintessential hero for a reason.
Oh, and he was non-threatening. He was if you just look at the movies, he wasn't gonna like try and sleep with you. He seemed much like a very young Boy Scout type, very innocent. He was the little brother that girls never had to worry about getting a little too close with him.
He was Obi-Wan 2.0. How did they fuck that up? I mean, seriously, stop and think about it.
Yeah. Because they don't understand that, because they are so anti everything that came before.
Because he's forthright, he cares about his friends, he's always about doing the right thing. He won't kill his father. He won't kill his father. He can't, bring himself to that point. I mean, he's done everything he could to bring justice to the galaxy, and he's just going to go off and say fuck it, like Clint Eastwood did in Unforgiven. There's the difference there. Is it's okay, fine, give him an Unforgiven story, but you got to give him the redemption. They didn't really give him that. It's force Skyping yourself to death isn't a redemption. And I'm sorry, there's no real reason for him to get to that point.
No.
I don't care. I just, he was too optimistic at the end. I get it. The white male, everybody keeps saying, Dr. Coffin-Nails, especially in the chat, but I'm trying to like understand.
From a story standpoint, we know the agenda behind it, but from a story standpoint, there's no reason why he would have turned that dark. I mean, there's no reason why he would justify almost killing his nephew. He wouldn't have gone to the room. He would have thought about it and felt terrible about it. He probably would never even thought about it, to be honest.
Well, like we said on, I think it was Drunk. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't know. I thought you were done.
No, it's sorry. He's, and I forgot what I was saying. No, he was so optimistic. He didn't give up on his father. You know, he wouldn't kill his father. He wouldn't turn to the dark side. That was the whole point, is that you would not turn to the dark side and you wouldn't kill it or considering killing it. Like you wouldn't just do that, because that is the dark side.
Right, and that's where like we were on Drunk. I think it was a Drunk 3PO stream, me and a couple other guys, and we were basically rewriting the last two movies, and we said the biggest mistake was, I mean, you almost have to go back to The Force Awakens, but it has to be like a redo of Phantom Menace almost, because basically you have to have like a bunch of sleeper agents inside this New Republic that you think is so strong because they're, like Leia is too distracted by her, political shit. Luke is distracted by all the Jedi. So you have Ben feeling like he's being neglected. Han's off doing his Han thing or whatever, to where you set up this whole thing and it's there, it's ripe for it, but they try to create all this conflict where there is no real conflict outside of Han Solo's a deadbeat dad and Luke just decides to be grumpy.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of messages in the super chats about the Han Solo trilogy from AC Crispin. So let me read those, because I actually wanted to make that point next. So Matt G, thank you very much. He says, remember when Solo was going to be a trilogy? Still waiting. Yeah. Well, Matt, if you wait, maybe one day you'll get that trilogy and it'll be directed by Rian Johnson.
But Alan Ehrenreich signed on for 3 movies. He's got your contract for 3 movies.
Dale says, I never watched Solo. They should have. Wonderful. It was written by AC Crispin, a woman. Dale, I read, The Hutt Gambit, the blue covered one, in 4th grade. I was we'll use a wrestling term, such a Star Wars mark as a kid. I was a sponge. I wanted to absorb everything. I would read those those Eyewitness Science, DK Publishing books. I would read those front and back. I'd look at each little description of the blasters, the lightsabers, this, that, and the other. I would sit and try to read as many EU books as I could cram, like specific things, like Courtship of Princess Leia or the AC Crispin trilogy or things like that. So I was so into it. And I do know that story, and part of me wants that to be the thing. I got to get Ryan Cannell on here so we can talk about these, because he knows them well. Dion.
Oh, I could have got him on tonight. I don't know, maybe, but I didn't know. I should have asked him.
Hey, let's see if he's free next week. Let's try to get him.
Yeah.
Everyone says, get Clownfish TV on. They want to be on the show. They don't follow us on Twitter, so there's no way to contact them. So
Same. I've been trying to get a hold of them myself because we have the same people trying to get us too.
So, well, see, folks, in the Fandom Menace, if you guys ever want something, just ask. And another thing you can do, too, is tell those people, like, I don't know, let's say you want us to get, we'll just use Joe Rogan, because it's the only celebrity I've ever run into in Hollywood or California since I've lived here. Let's say you wanted that. If these people get a flood of this, what?
I want that.
I was walking down the street back from something, and I just saw like a Bentley or some really expensive car, and I swore it was him driving. He was talking to some woman in the car. That's it. Didn't stop. I didn't meet him, didn't say anything to him, but I swear I saw him drive by. So that's the extent. But if that's the type of thing, folks. You just tell these people, like, hey, World Class Bullshitters would love to have you on their show, or the Fandom Menace would love to have you on the High Council. And, just be cool, and we'll reach out, and we'll get anyone. Everybody here is welcome. I'd love to have all these conversations. Even Mike Zero. That's all I can say. So let's see. We have J. Pat, who says, read the Han Solo trilogy by AC Crispin. You'll discover a new level of pain and suffering the next time you watch Solo. Screw Disney. You mean as we're digested over 1,000 years of more Disney Star Wars crap? Luckily, the market dictates that they can't shove that down our throats for decades and decades. I mean, Tom, you know this very well. Mecha, you do too. What they wanted was to put out a Star Wars movie every year, have a theme park, have video games, have toys, and it all would catch fire, and we'd all would just be, waiting to get to the food nipple and just suck down anything they wanted to give us. But none of it worked. I take it back. It worked one time, the first time, and then people opened their eyes and were it was very transparent to us all. So, well, Neca, I hope that he's a no, so they can ask him all they want. But I saw your private message. That'll never.
I know.
Happen.
That's why I didn't want to say it.
That motherfucker burned a bridge. Don't even say his name.
I know. That's why I didn't want to say it.
Candyman.
Oh, that trailer! I can't believe it. But I thought it looked decent. But I'm not gonna go see
trailer?
it.
Candyman? I didn't see the trailer yet.
It came out last week. You should check it out.
Oh man, there's so many things I haven't seen yet.
No,
I'm still going to be working on my Doctor Who video. I think it probably won't even go out until tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that, guys.
Yeah, I got a longer form video I'm going to be working on for a couple things. But you brought up Doctor Who. What's the deal? It's like people hated this season. The show's tanking. It's getting canceled. What's happening? As somebody that likes Doctor Who but has been out of it since Capaldi started, just give me a summary of what's happening currently with this.
Oh, I watched Capaldi like after the fact because it was just not very good even then. And I love the old stuff. I grew up with the PBS stuff, and Tom Baker, and I came back in with David Tennant, and I rewatched the newest runs of all the Doctors. This new one with Jodie Whittaker, with this new showrunner, Chris Chim. I said it again, Chinballs. Chibnall. Oh, I've covered Doctor Who too, guys. I call him Chin Balls because I can't speak, and he doesn't have chin balls, but he might as well. He's just got this in his head to destroy everything in the longest, most boring way possible, and he's the next Rian Johnson. I actually even put out a poll on Twitter of who ruined the fandoms the most, who's done the most damage, and Chin Balls is in a close second, right behind Rian Johnson, and I think I've got Alex Kurtzman on there too. But he basically went in and retconned the entire show. So it was bad enough that so he brought in a woman doctor, which in this day and age when you're bringing in a woman doctor, it's just for diversity and all that shit. So no reason to do it other than to get the woke points. Oh, I don't know where to start. This is why it's been taking me so long on this video too that I'm working on with my review, because there's just nothing good about Doctor Who anymore. It's slow, boring, it's insulting to everyone. And somebody actually sent me this. That's not how he looks with, completely just exaggerated. So that's the image I've been using. And yeah, this guy just destroyed the entire show now. And do you guys hear about spoilers? If you hear about spoilers, close your ears if you don't want to know what he did. This show, we had a clear order of here's our first Doctor, here's our most recent Doctor. A few episodes back, he went in and decided to have sassy black lady doctor come in and be a doctor before all of the doctors, in the before times, before the Doctor's memory. And now he's made it so that even before sassy black lady doctor, they had another doctor, and more and more and more. And that the whole reason that the Time Lords regenerate is because they have the Doctor's DNA in them, because the Doctor came from planet, I don't know, floating around in space somewhere, a giant space butthole for all we know, just invented herself in time and was adopted by a bag lady and experimented on because she was the first person to ever regenerate on Gallifrey, and then all the Time Lords were infused with her DNA after that. And it's does this sound like Doctor Who to you guys?
It sounds broken.
Yeah. They just said, you know what? William Hartnell, who's the first Doctor? Not anymore. No. Fuck you if you liked him.
Wait, what? He's not the first anymore?
No.
So now David Tennant's not the 10th Doctor anymore?
No. We don't know the number. There's no number now. There's an infinite number of doctors with an infinite number of diversity. So what if every person of color and gender of the rainbow can have a doctor for them to represent them, and you can fill in your own backstory? And
If I was still watching this show, I'd break a glass. This would piss me off.
I don't know what mood I'm supposed to take. I think it broke me. I think this one broke me. And I'm watching Picard too. And Picard just plucked Icheb's eyeball out for no reason, and 7 of 9 shot him in the chest and killed him after, using her nanoprobes to save his fucking life once before or something.
Wait, 7 of 9 killed who?
Icheb.
Is Jerry Ryan's on the show?
Yeah. For an episode.
A couple so far.
Not dude, Mecha. Sorry. Well, no,
it's fine. It's fine.
What? Like what? I don't get it. Well, the weird thing is that for me, at least, is how you have these decades-old franchises, and I understand it's hard to keep shit rolling. I get it. Okay, I understand that completely. But at the same time, I'm just trying to understand what they think that they're creating, like how they think what they're creating is going to add to the longevity of any IP, if that makes sense. I get it. Like, I know you're a business. I don't begrudge anyone that wants to make money. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. If you made another, I don't know. I would have less issue if you made another Terminator. Like, say Terminator 6 was just to make money and just to cash in on shit, and you didn't try to infuse it with shit, and you didn't have Tim Miller come out and call everyone a misogynist. Like, I wouldn't have a problem. Like, yeah, we just think Terminator makes it successful. Like how Bruckheimer or Michael Bay or all that shit.
Oh, it would have been better if it was by the numbers, if that's what you mean.
Yeah. It's just, money is less of an evil than the agenda that these Hollywood movies promote these days.
I think so.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing with you. I said I think so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have no issue. Call of Duty is the most, it's all it is. It's about making money. I'm not saying it's the greatest franchise, but it's not the worst franchise either. It's very transparent. You buy your Call of Duty, you get your map packs, you get some weapons, and that's it. And it's just a recycled thing every year, and they want to make money. That is less bothersome to me than if they make a video game that's about being subversive and tearing down this and that and having an agenda and trying to infuse whatever. Fuck, I would rather drink Coca-Cola that's, what it is, it's just a product, than, drinking some weird, I can't even think of a parallel to that, but you get what I'm trying to get at. I don't think these things are as dangerous as they are, just pointless. But
well, it's funny you bring up Coke, because we always bring up the new Coke analogy as far as, not to get into the whole logistics of it all, but you can't change something like that, not expect your core fan base to just lose their fucking minds. It's not like this is new to business.
No, and we're going and expecting one thing, and they're baiting and switching us. And they have franchises that have built-in audiences, and we will come in and consume stuff, right? We will come in and buy it. We will give it the benefit of the doubt. We want to like these things because we know we like these things already. And when you come in and you change it, of course you're going to piss off the existing fans, at least some of them. And, some people will come back if it's good enough. I came back to Enterprise because it got good again.
I love this. Peter Hahn, when is Picard going to have dinosaurs?
I will give I will buy CBS All Access once they get in there.
Oh my God, it's fucking dinosaurs.
Did you see that meme today? It's Picard on an escalator. It's like, even in the future, we have the same escalators.
Yes, they don't. Oh my God. Don't even get us started on Picard, because.
Yeah. Then Rob will come in here and he'll.
There's too many modernisms in Picard. Way too many. A lot of dude talk and hot tips and whatever kind of talk and shit that's too modern.
It is too much dudes and too much. Like he holds. Isn't there one shot where he holds his community, like his comm badge, up to his ear like it's a cell phone?
Yeah. Or he's got like something in his ear anyway, or whatever.
At least like I said, I'm not a big Next Generation fan, but at least that shit looked cool,
Mhm.
So I don't know why. What we lived in 2020, where for less of a budget, you can make these TV shows that look like fucking blockbuster movies. Yet they choose to make them look like, hey, let's just film Patrick Stewart at the convention center downtown.
Well, according to Robert Meyer Burnett, from what he's heard, the budget on this show is like $400 million.
What? What for this shit?
Yep.
And it's going up their nose in cocaine, probably, or funneled away in overseas. What is it? Money laundering accounts or whatever.
Well, to be fair, a lot of these shows, like Star Trek, there's a lot of upfront costs. They get amortized.
They were just renting a fucking house for his vineyard.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying you're wrong, Mecca, but I mean, they get this kind of money because, they have the argument that, we got to pay for all this shit to build it. But Mecca's right. So much of it's probably been funneled to the 27 fucking producers on the show.
Well,
there's literally more
cast to Discovery to Iceland, and that wasn't cheap. They were there for like 2 months.
And that was the other rumors that they funneled some of the money into Discovery. So I don't know what's the truth. But yeah, you've got a situation where the show doesn't show what it's worth. And yeah, I forgot what I was going to say before that. But
well, they didn't even build sets on this one. They just recycled some of the old sets that they used last time.
I really feel for you, Mecca, because it's not a day goes by that I don't see something that's Star Trek related. Everyone's pissed off. I wish we would just get that Tarantino movie and just be like, hey, we're going to make an R-rated Star Trek movie that has Captain Kirk. It's going to be crazy.
To be honest, I don't even know if Tarantino would make an R-rated Star Trek movie.
That's true. He might just try and keep it as traditional as he could.
Because he's a huge fan of the original series.
Look what he did with Kill Bill and tried to make it as, authentic and as respectful to the he was inspired by and to the genres he was inspired by.
It's not going to happen, but that was the whole thing when he's talking about with JJ. He's like, JJ's like, I don't care what you do, just nobody understands the other shit. Do whatever you want. If you want the original series to happen, that's fine. Do whatever you want. Because he was just trying to get a movie off the ground.
Rob Dylan in chat. Someone say Picard.
Yeah.
Oh, here he goes.
Let's see. The chat has been blowing up over the last couple minutes. Thank you, guys. Dean Hopesoffel. Sorry. King Arturus. It's only a matter of time before Disney reboots the original trilogy. Any thoughts on who they might cast?
I know there's a lot of people talking about this. I just don't think I don't think George Lucas would ever let that have happened. I mean, I gotta believe there's some kind of stipulation to where they can't.
I don't think society would let that happen, dude.
Well, just beyond that, you're right. But I mean, logistically, I don't see George Lucas being in a putting his films in a position where anybody's going to be able to mess with them ever again.
No. Whatchamacallit? I was trying to think of like a funny choice for like a Luke Skywalker, but realistically, if they did it, it would be Han Solo would be, I'm going to guess more of like that's what The Force Awakens was trying to be. So like an Oscar Isaac, like a Hispanic man. You'd have that Han Solo. Princess Leia would still be a white woman. Luke would have to be a white dude because they're brother and sister, unless they're going to try some adoption bullshit like they did with Fan Forstic. So, that's neither here nor there. But I don't
have the Force.
They would. Becca, I have a question for you. So they have the Lion King remake with James Earl Jones voicing Mufasa. Do they bring James Earl Jones back just to revoice Darth Vader?
They would have to. They would have to because it's so iconic. They couldn't have anybody else do it.
But he doesn't sound the same anymore. That's one thing that was really cringe with Rogue One.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's like, I'm Darth Vader, but I sound 200 years older than I should.
If they think, though, that they've been getting a shitstorm with Star Wars fans backlash over these movies, I guarantee you will see something that has never been seen before in like terms of fan pushback. Because, we talk about Star Wars all the time. It's because it's so culturally relevant, and it's been culturally relevant for 43 years almost. And it'll remain culturally relevant, but the new stuff will be a reminder of how far society and popular culture has changed in terms of quality. I firmly believe, and I've said it before, a weak Disney produces a much better and varied and diverse pop culture landscape. It's less homogenized. It's less samey. That's the same as homogenized. Excuse me. My point, though, they cannot take away the good feelings that we've all had from Star Wars. You know, some days Star Wars is my favorite thing. Some days it's my second favorite thing. My point is, Disney could never take away the fun that I had as a kid playing in the backyard with my AT-AT Walker and my Luke Skywalker, or my Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon in the living room and all this stuff. You can't take that away because the movies are so ingrained in who we all are as people, as the way we consumed it and loved it and watched it. Plus, the thing is, a good chunk of the principal cast is still alive. It's not like it's a long time ago. It's not like a Wizard of Oz readaptation where every person's dead. You know, you can, if you're lucky, you can find Harrison Ford out on the street. He'll tell you to fuck off, but he's out there. Mark Hamill probably want you to talk to him, but he's still out there. We've only lost Carrie Fisher and Peter Mayhew from the main, thing. Kenny Baker as well. But C-3PO's out there. Lando's still out there. James Earl Jones and David Prowse are still out there. Wedge, a good chunk of these actors, because it's not that long ago that Star Wars was a thing. No, and it's still being mined. There's a reason why 40 years later, a toy company is still making figures based off of an old ass movie. And the thing is about Star Wars, it doesn't feel old. It felt like it's always been here. It's always a part of popular culture. Flash Gordon came out 2 years after Star Wars, maybe 3. I think Flash Gordon's 1980, right, Tom?
I think so.
Yeah, that's later than Star Wars. That feels even more dated than Star Wars. And when it gets merchandise, it feels like we're just digging up something from the past. Star Wars has always been a part of popular culture. And I don't think Disney could ever get away with it. I know it's a long rant, a ramble, but never in a million years could they get away with it. If I'm going to humor you, though, King Arturus, I think like a Chris Pratt or somebody. You just basically all you're going to do is you recast Star Wars. You're just going to get somebody that's close enough to Harrison Ford that's cool.
Yeah, and that's just it. I mean, and to go off of what you were just saying, I think you're right. What is the line? Where does the line? I thought Ghostbusters was gonna be the line, but still, people see it.
No, I don't think anybody's going to what young audience is going to go and flock to a Star Wars reboot? They didn't go and see this one that was for them, with their young cast of Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver. They didn't flock to this one. Why would they go and see a Luke and Leia one when they know?
I get the train of thought, though, where people are coming from on that, though. They're seeing, Disney's going, we'll just recast the original cast and we'll just keep doing it over and over and over. Because that's kind of what Disney does. Yeah. They used to just repackage the same old movies until people stopped to go seeing them in the theater because they already have 10 copies at home. That's why. Well, now they're like, well, what can we do next? Well, then the remakes hit big. Well, and then like with Star Wars, they wanted to play it safe at first. So Bob Iger set, down the rules that this has to be like the old Star Wars, to the point where it was exactly like the old Star Wars. And then they countered that with, they want something different. Well, then they gave us something too different. It was kind of the same thing with BBS and Justice League. They overcourse corrected with Justice League, and we got that fucking mess.
Yeah, I can't believe we live in a world where the Justice League movie was a dumpster fire.
Even a BBS movie, the easiest probably movie to put on screen. All you got to do is pit the two of them together and fight. Really.
All you should have done is just remake Dark Knight Returns, the comic book.
Yes,
and
I
just
agree.
Change it slightly where instead of the ending where Batman fakes his death, you just have them respect each other, and then you build the fucking DC universe off that.
Or, like a lot of us said to begin with, if instead of trying to beat Marvel at their own game, they should have just started off with the Justice League to begin with, and then spawned out the characters. But
I know I'm going to go against what I say. How about, I always talk about we need creativity and originality and entertainment in Hollywood. I wouldn't have been upset if they just said, we're just doing a live action adaptation of the Justice League cartoon.
I think that's what most people wanted. Just like I've said a million times over. How hard is it just to give us a Batman show that's pretty much the Batman animated series, just live action and adulted up just a little bit? Do you know how many people would flock to that fucking show?
I would pay.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
How expensive could it be? Gary and I have talked about this a few times. Yeah, but first of all, it's already written. But not only that, how cheap would it be to make a Batman show? You don't have to worry about anybody fucking flying. Everybody's either wearing a costume or makeup. You don't have a shit ton of CGI. The most expensive thing in a Batman show is probably some of the sets in the Batmobile.
But that's not going to appeal to modern audiences, though, is it? And that's what they're thinking anyway, because...
No, they're too protective of Batman. That's the problem.
But they'll give us Gotham. Which
That's the thing. They'll give us 100 things that don't have Superman or Batman in them because they're so over fucking protective of those characters. Well, I hope this Superman thing may be a hit for them. I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. From what I've heard, I've actually got the script for the first episode of the Superman Lois show that's coming. I haven't really read much of it. I've read some of it, and it's like, oh, God. I read the first few pages, and I'm like, Jesus.
Is it a CW one?
Yes. They've got 2 kids, and one's scrawny, and one's all the, like, a jock, and guess which one's got the superpowers and which one doesn't?
The scrawny one?
Yep.
I can't wait to not watch it. I don't really like that man's chin for Superman. He looks a little weak.
Well, I was just disappointed. I thought they should have just done their own thing and just had Brandon Routh be Superman again. I would have been fine with that.
He wasn't the problem. That movie was the problem. But, I think, and another thing, if this would be fairly cheap, but maybe kind of pricey. I think Disney could get away with a Spider-Man TV show. If they could get the rights with Sony working, that's another character. You CGI a character. The Mandalorian can prove that you can have a CGI heavy show and it would work. Like, that would be, to me, a Spider-Man. What?
Just green screen it. Green screen the background and have a guy on wires every week.
Well, what he's getting at is Spider-Man has already been pretty much 90% of the time CGI since probably Spider-Man 2 or 3 of the Raimi movies.
Even Spider-Man 1, he CGI in some of the weirdest shots.
I noticed that too, and and a couple of those shots I didn't even realize they were until I watched the making of it. And I'm like, really? That's CGI? I don't know why, but okay.
Yeah, well, they also went with Sony ImageWorks. They should have went with ILM. I know it was all to keep it in-house, but Spider-Man would have looked better. If it was ILM.
There's some shots that are fucking horrid. Don't get me wrong, but there's some shots that are amazing in that movie.
So let's see.
And I hate CGI, so that says a lot coming from me.
Yeah. I just would enjoy seeing Spider-Man fight mob bosses and all kinds of shit, but hey, that's me. I'm a Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's another. I mean, well, that's the thing. These kind of characters, they do lend themselves to shows, and who knows? Maybe if the box office does start to fall off, we'll start seeing more of the bigger names on, like, the streaming networks. You never know.
I mean, if they can give us a faithful adaptation, and I mean, like, the characters look like the characters, the suit looks like the suit, and you get that, like, soap opera-esque drama of the Spider-Man universe, I'll probably watch that show the rest of my life if it just kept going on, and grow old with Spider-Man. He's good. He dies eventually, you would think. So just have him go be old. Who gives a shit? Just, started out, he's like 20 years old in college, make each year a real year, and then, finish the show. But that's me dream casting, folks. Dean Holpstoffel, thank you very much, Dean. He says, the Kessel Run was never a race, even in Legends. Han set the record escaping the Imperial customs ships.
Yeah, I answered before on that part. I said I didn't know that, but that's still better than what we got, yeah.
All agreed. Our friend Dr. Coffin Nails says, Mecha Random 42, I've got it on good authority that she actually shoved the dice up her hoo-ha.
I had that uncomfortable piece of thing.
Are you talking about the clock from Pulp Fiction?
Yeah, I was going to get there.
I've been using the word hoo-ha a lot because, trying to censor it a little to fight
those dice. What my ass.
The dice.
For 4 years. And now I'm giving them to you.
Now, we have the Gray Ghost, which I don't know if his name's based off the Batman the Animated Series episode, but that's one of the best of that entire show. That kind of shit, I would. Now,
I've always been confused. Is the Gray Ghost actually the gay ghost from back in the day, and they changed his name, or are they 2 separate characters?
They're 2 separate.
Okay, I never knew. I wasn't never sure for sure.
At least within the realm of the Batman cartoon, the Gray Ghost is the show that Batman used to watch as a child.
Oh, okay.
And he inspired a lot of the Batman.
It's been a while since I watched the animated series. So I couldn't remember.
It is a fantastic episode.
Oh, I've got the Blu-rays. I just never have time.
When Adam West died, I popped that episode on the DVD. I was just like, oh man, it was so meta too, because he's like, I looked up to you as a child and all this shit, and the Gray Ghost was taken aback. I'm like, man, that's the shit people say to Adam West. That was so cool that they had the wherewithal to put it, 20 years before he had passed away, type of thing. So I just love that episode.
Of course I did, little chum. Do you know how much bat pussy I got?
But the Gray Ghost says, hail, if you would indulge me, Disney got Luke as Amazon. Hold on. And he gives me an ISBN number. Fans waited 34 years to get Hamill back. Disney gave them Luke Jedi exiled with a wooden stick. So hold on. Let me pull this up because
Just make sure it's not porn.
Oh, okay. Oh no, it's a picture of an action figure.
Okay.
So this is what pops up when we get this. So Luke they got this, and this is what it is right here. This Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. Not the best figure, but not the worst. But I get what you're saying, Gray Ghost. And they gave us this in return, and we'll type this in with a wooden stick. Where are we at? Right here. Boom. So to me, this is like the ultimate in depreciation. Like if you got, yeah, it's like a car. You know, you get this beautiful car, and you get the fucking, I don't know, you expect to get a Porsche, and you get, or no, you expect to get a Vet. You're like, oh man, I bought this Vet. It's going to be great. And you think it's a Corvette, but it's a Chevette, and it's such a disappointing. Disappointing return. That's what Disney did to Luke Skywalker. That's what Disney did to Luke. It's sad, but Gray Ghost, I get it. And there's no way to respect what they've done. Dreary Nitpicker says, the only good thing about the new trilogy is I found the fandom menace. I felt so alone after The Last Jedi, and all my friends loved it, and then I found you guys. Well, Dreary Nitpicker, welcome. It's been a while since you've been here because you found us right after that.
I'm sorry we corrupted you.
Yeah, but at least we're having a good time corrupting you. And speaking of corruption, folks, tonight on the after show, I'm going to be over on Mindless Entertainment. We're going to be talking about coronavirus, drinking Corona, and we have contingency plans for if this thing goes crazy. So I've been dropping the link in the chat. I'm going to continue to do so. If you want to hang out with me for many more hours, I will be there after the High Council. And, you don't want to miss out. You can see how
I will be there as long as I can last. I've been up since 6 a.m. So,
well, you're more than welcome to, man. And we'd love to have you as long as you can hang. But you can see how bad my beard is right now and how I need to shave. I'm totally lazy. This does look like an Ethan action figure. We should buy this Luke and turn it into an Ethan Van Snyder figure.
I fucking see it now. Oh shit.
All right. So
do you think the hood comes off and you could do something with the clothes? And
let's see. Let me look at this figure a little
I'm sure we've got some very talented people out there who could.
I guarantee you the cloak comes off of the figure.
It looks like it's got hair in the back, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it just wraps around the neck, yeah.
Such a disappointing toy. This is a disappointing toy too. That's not even Luke Skywalker right there. That's
supposed to be young Luke or mid
Obi-Wan.
And look at Princess Leia. That's Space Leia. Leia.
Just replace that with an umbrella.
That don't even look right.
No.
Hang on the ceiling.
Here, we'll look at Yoda. Yoda looks legit. There we go. Wow, looks better. Our friend Logan Michael, and by the way, Dreary Nitpicker, thank you though. I'm glad you found us, and we're more than a Star Wars channel. We're just a collective of people who love pop culture, and we'll be here. We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
I know it's unpopular opinion, but I just never thought they should have let Yoda have a lightsaber.
I agree. It goes against what he talked about, judging by my size and all this stuff. We're not make one great. I get it. I mean, I did cheer.
He just feels like, yeah, he'd be. I did too at first, but
yeah, I'm over it. But I might still say, gun to my head, I'm okay with it because I really do enjoy Clone Wars Yoda, and I just, I don't know if it makes me sound like a hypocrite, but the Clone Wars really made me accept the entire prequel era a lot better because they took the ideas that Lucas had and they implemented them better. And I really enjoy that. Like after, the OT, I really like the Clone Wars. And then I guess the prequel stuff. But,
well, I just, not to go too long because I know you got some super chats, but like, I know like in episode 3, like I'd rather see him do shit like when he first comes in and he knocks those guards out and shit like that. That's the kind of thing I see Yoda doing. Very minimal fucking shit. Just like coming in and like, yeah, I'm a badass. Like, what you gonna do? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just don't. And he went out like such a bitch. I felt like, oh god, I've seen worse, but yeah.
Yeah, I know I've seen somebody's video.
That's the best one there. Yeah.
There we go, Leia Poppins. That is such a stupid scene. Fuck that movie. Fuck you, Rian Johnson.
Well, there's some good fan art and stuff going around. This was just, I don't know if it's worth making a whole video on, but somebody did a painting of Baby Groot and Baby Yoda.
I've been playing this Marvel game on my phone, and Groot is one of my characters, and I had to kill Rocket Raccoon as Groot, and it was really hard to do, but I had to do it.
Groot would never do that.
Show it.
I know.
Really
Groot
cute.
would never, ever do that.
Our friend Logan Michael Anti-Funko Pop says, we need a The Fly reimagining, but it's time with a horse instead. The Horse, starring Dion Green as Seth Brundle and Lena Dunham as Veronica. You know, Logan Michael, what we're gonna do is we're gonna save all of our super chat money and we'll make that film. Dion slowly becomes a horse. Instead of like him in a transporter, he gets bit by an irradiated horse in New Orleans on a drunken bender during Mardi Gras weekend. And Dion slowly, oh my God, all the money will go into the CGI shot of Dion becoming a horse like Pinocchio became a donkey. Remember that?
Oh God, that was fucking terrifying.
It was. That's what this movie's got to be. If Cronenberg's not going to come direct it, we got to at least get the body horror, right?
Oh Jesus, got to have some kind of lump of flesh doing something.
Jury Nitpicker also says, I first discovered that Star Wars girl, then I discovered you, Jeff, then Nerdrotic and Doomcock, and the rest of you guys. Thank you for keeping things real. Well, Jury Nitpicker, that's all we can do. One of our descriptions is keeping things real in the nerd universe. You gotta keep it real when you're talking about this entertainment stuff. You can't buy our opinions because I think that would defeat the purpose of everything everyone does. So, thank you, though. Shadowstar5 says, it isn't even about the audience being against change. What fans are upset about is the flagrant disrespect towards the franchise and us. Yes. You said it perfectly. I think, folks, if you want to just a response to when people talk about, fandom menace, this or that, I think this is the perfect response. It's just about disrespect of the source material and us, because this is something that's important to all of us. Part of our identity is lumped in with these things. When they take any of my favorite franchises like Fast and Furious outside of my apartment right now, no. But when they take any of them, they just, fuck them up. I get pissed because it's, there's no purpose to it. It's not about being, old man who yells at cloud. If you gave, I don't know, when they gave Spider-Man some newer powers and eventually wrote him away, I wasn't bitching up a storm that he had, real organic web shooters in the comics. I was just like, it'll whatever. But that's neither here nor there. But yes, Shadowstar 5, you're right. Zachary Shaw says, do you guys think Picard will get a third season?
I'd be lucky to get a second, but we'll see.
Logan Michael Anti-Funko Pop says, Disney Star Wars is like porno starring Ron Jeremy. You really don't need to see it in the first place, but when you do, you really regret it. The only Hedgehog movie I don't want to watch this season. Sorry. Yeah, I regret all of that. Darth, I regret just the thoughts I've been having for the last couple seconds. Thanks, Logan Michael. Thank you. Darth Fatass says, Janeway's got to be so proud of 7 of 9, retconning her with humanity by becoming the galaxy's top vigilante.
Ugh.
Is that what's happening?
Oh, yeah. She has no regard for human life. She's just going on a killing spree, taking out an entire bar full of people who, I guess, are associated with the one bitch who was harvesting Borg parts for reasons. Oh, it's so stupid. It's like they're going to basically make it so that the damn... They're retconning everything. They've made it so that 7 of 9 now murders people. She, instead of trying to save Icheb, like the one person, she wouldn't let him go home with his parents because she had this arrogance about her that, she's like, oh no, they're not good enough. They're not going to protect him enough. They're not going to give him the education he needs. They're not going to keep him safe from the Borg, and she just kills him out of nothing. She didn't try and save him. I mean, he would have lived. He didn't have the cortical node anymore. He would have lived without the eye because it was just. I'm getting mad again. I'm just gonna start yelling.
It was very unnecessary. It was
so unnecessary. It was just a giant fuck you to the actor because he's on the wrong side of the Twitterati, in my opinion. I mean, we don't have actual legit proof of that, but there's no reason they couldn't have got him back just for There's no reason to make it so brutal. There's no reason to not try and save the character. And if it wasn't personal, then they're stupid.
Do you remember the time that The Rock was on Star Trek and beat 7 of 9 in a fight?
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. I'm going to show that as we close out the show. There we go. That's fucking cool. The Rock beat a robot. Let's see. Where were we at? Darth Fettis, we read yours. Thank you anyway. Again, Andre Fernandez says, the question is, when is going to be a good and profitable idea? When is it going to be a good and profitable idea to remake the sequel trilogy? Don't you think it could make a ton of money? Only Leia is dead. It sounds dumb. It would work if she was still alive or something, but you would have to have a company go like, we're sorry we made the wrong decision or the wrong move or something like that. Logistically, it wouldn't work, and I think from a hubris perspective, they wouldn't allow it to happen, but I would love for it, and they'd make money. Like, hey, see Han Solo again. See Luke Skywalker again. Only this time we promise they won't mess him up.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. It would never happen.
Let's see. We have our friend, finally, Dreary Nitpicker says, Jeff, I'm usually at work when you're streaming, but I always listen to you and the boys. I'm a big fan of you guys, especially that I hate Dion Gitz. LOL. I love the hate Dion Gitz. He's my best friend. So the rocker. Oh my god, you guys are funny right now in the chat. So it looks like we've reached the end of the High Council. I don't know where 3 hours went, honestly. This show really I don't know.
Yeah, it did kind of clip by, didn't it?
Yeah, because it started out, we came in hot talking about the Raylo is now Cray, and we had a phenomenal time tonight. So Neca, where can everyone find you on the internet?
On my channel, Neca Random 42. You can just click me in chat here. Actually, I should probably just give you a link. And I am on Midnight Edge After Dark with Tom and Rob every other night. Sometimes I'm on the round tables yelling about Picard because it gets my blood going. And sometimes I stream on Twitch too. Oh, and on Creepy Little Book, we talk paranormal, occult, weird stuff, weird history, weird spooky religions, and missing people, and
aliens and squatches.
Aliens and squatches.
You should, if you ever have a space, give me a call. I love stuff like that.
Oh, we're on every night. You're more than welcome to.
Oh, they'd probably love to have you on. Yeah.
I always wanted to go on the Exozone, but they never sent me an invite. I'm just like, I love stuff like this.
They are very particular about their Exozone. Yes.
No, Gary and Doomcock both wanted me on. They just never invited me. Like they said, "Oh, we'll have you on." They just never sent me an invite.
Oh, I was gonna say, usually it seems like they just want it to be themselves, and whenever they get guests, but yeah, that happens. Gary gets like absent-minded because he's so busy. I know that, but
that's the thing. I'm sure they don't. No,
I don't. I'm not mad about anything. No. So, Tom, Midnight's Edge After Dark. Where can they find you?
Yeah, Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark. You can always find us, like Neca said, doing live shows just about every other day, and on the main channel for all the videos you love and the interviews and all that good stuff.
Super Smash Brothers candidates, maybe I would. I've been doing a lot of newer stuff over on our we have like Patreon, and we do iTunes and other stuff like that. We've been playing around with some other things because YouTube's been kind of dicking us in terms of like, if you put out other stuff that's not super popular right now, they're just like, hey, no thanks. Your audience doesn't know about your video and your content. So I love that kind of stuff. I'm definitely going to branch out and do more. The backup stories to Stealing Solo were very Exozone-y, Twilight Zone, science fiction twist endings, crazy stuff, government conspiracies. I'm into those things as forms of entertainment. I don't really, I don't think the Earth is flat or anything like that, but those are always fun for me to like stay up late at night and read stuff about it, watch videos, just think about it. What if it's just another form of entertainment? To me, it's no more harmful than watching, I don't know, the movie Men in Black. So it's just fun.
That's funny. That reminds me of a headline I just saw. I can't remember the exact, but it was like the internet brings flat earthers together all around the globe or something like that.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast about coronavirus, and they were talking about how the media is building it up and it's hype and it's this and it's that. And I'm like, okay, I can understand your point. And then they're talking about flat earth and how, we need to like think about it. And I'm just like, no, we don't. And I turned off the podcast. So sorry, Chris Jericho. Sorry. But folks, if you want more from me, all you got to do is just let me know what you're interested in. We do Good Morning Pop Culture when we can. I love doing that show and all sorts of things. So I'm going to head over to, not Midnight's Edge After Dark tonight. I'm going to head over to the after show on Mindless.
That would be awesome one of these days, though. We need to have you back on. I
will. You and I talk quite a bit over on Facebook. I'll give you a heads up on my schedule. When I go back to Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to have a lot more free time. And that's going to be about towards the end of the month. So yeah, just hit me up, man. We'll make stuff happen. I might do Good Morning Pop Culture for about 3 weeks straight. So who knows?
Sweet.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks, Neca, for kicking out some of this crazier shit in the chat. The bots are back. When YouTube
I accidentally just closed it. Yeah.
Oh, you're good, dude. But there you go, folks. That is the link in the chat to find me. King Archer says, the earth is a donut. Coach Malin says so. Well, if it's a donut, I hope it's a glazed or a jelly donut because, donuts are delicious. Just ask Homer Simpson. So, folks, I'm going to actually be starting over on the Mindless Entertainment stream. It's just going to be all me, drinking a cup of coffee so I can stay awake tonight. So if you want to, ask me anything you want, I'm over there right now. Link in the chat one last time. From all of us here in the High Council, thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other. And we will be getting those Fandom Menace shirts, Care Companion, and we will wear them on the streams just for you. And we'll, help get the word out there. Folks, I'll be back later with a video tomorrow night. Nothing. Thursday night, the podcast. And we appreciate each and every one of you. So, again, go out into the world and be excellent to each other.